The Chargers have been recharging their batteries over the last couple of years under new head coach Tommy Prothro. No longer the league doormat, they can compete with anybody. San Diego has always been a potent offensive club, and this year is no different. Their stall of big, swift running backs is second to none in the league. Whether it's Ricky Young, Don Woods, Bo Matthews, Clarence Williams, or Joe the Jet Washington, the Dolphins will be hard-pressed to shut down their running game. James Harris has given the Chargers solid quarterbacking, and with receivers like Charlie Joyner and Johnny Rodgers, along with tight end Bob Klein, it's bombs away from anywhere on the field. And get this, fans, the Chargers, at long last, finally have a defense. Their huge defensive line has crashed in for 25 quarterback sacks in 6 games, and they've surrendered just 79 points all year. Outside of Baltimore, San Diego will be Miami's toughest opponent today. Roger Twibell, Channel 4 Sports.
Well, I feel comfortable, and, I'm happy to be with the Chargers. Everything has went well, and, we're improving from week to week. I feel good about the team and the effort that everybody is giving.
Personally, are you happier here than you were with the Rams or with the Bills before?
Well, I can't make a statement like that. One thing I can say is that I am happy here. I try to stay away from comparison between the situation, but I am pleased to be here. The big thing is right now, we're 3-3, where I just wish we had it was a little 5-1 or something.
You lost a couple of tough games, especially last week. This team really is a lot better than the 3-3 record that it has.
Well, I think so. I think we've been playing well, and like I said before, the big thing is the effort that this team has been giving. I think everybody's been playing hard and trying hard, and I think that's the best thing about the team.
No, this team's not down. This team's been through it before. Most of the guys here were with us in '75, and we were, at one time 0-9. And that's about as down as you can get. And I think the guys have learned to react better to things like that. Last week was a tough game. We had it, and it was just a giveaway. And those are the kind of games you gotta win. And in order to be competitive in this league. So I don't think this team's down. I think we're going to come out, and we've had a real good week of practice, and everybody's looking forward to kind of rebounding tomorrow and getting back on the winning track.
Well, I've been around a long time and been through a lot of great wins. Last second of a ball game, making a big play or kicking a field goal, and this one went against us. It's one of the toughest losses that I've been around, and our defense battled and tried to save it after the offense fumbled. We had a chance to just run out the clock and maintain possession of the ball, but Malone fumbled, and the defense battled it right down to the 4th and 2, or 2 seconds ago in the ball game on a 5-yard line, and Harris kept it on a run-pass option and decided to tuck it under his arm and go for it, and he got it. He made the play, and we came up short.
To tell you the truth, Tony, no fans have been getting on me. The press has been getting on me because they expect more, which I don't blame them. I've done very well the past 8 years.
You get spoiled with success.
Oh, yeah. I've done very well in 8 years, and when they see that I'm not doing well, they realize that there's something wrong. But the problem is that I had a very bad leg, and the leg is not 100% yet. That's why I'm not even kicking off yet. But it's going to come. My legs are feeling much better, and when the legs are there, there's no way I can't make them.
Well, when you put as much into it as these players put into preparation and then battle it the way that they battle it, it's tough to swallow losing. And the only thing that we can hope for now is to come out of it and make victory mean that much more to us. And we're going to have our opportunities. We got the Jets that we have to beat, and then we got New England twice, and it makes those games that much more important. The Colts later on, and teams are going to be beating each other. And San Diego was a good team today, and that's down the drain. We didn't end up 6-0 the way that we had hoped.
I've been here. This is my 6th year, and we've had some tough defeats over the years, but I can't remember a tougher loss to take. I tell you, we fought hard and just couldn't hold them. It's hard to evaluate a game like that, but you think about it, and I'm talking defensively, of course, and I tell you, all those young guys and everybody that was involved just fought their hearts out. I mean, I was out there in the middle of that huddle with them, and we stayed together till the end, and we just didn't make the play there at the end when we needed it. We as a team, we know we got something here, and we're not going to throw it away on one ball game. We got a tough schedule coming up, and we just got to swallow this one. It's a big one to swallow, but we're going to swallow it. We'll come back.
I'm a defensive back, and they threw at me 3 times in a row. Right. I can't do nothing but think pass, so my responsibility down there is pass defense, and that's what I was playing all the way, and unfortunately he called a bootleg on us, and he ran the ball, and it worked against us.
You hit him prior to getting to the goal.
Yeah, we met right about the goal line. His momentum was just too great for me to try to hold him out, and he took him right in the end zone.
Do you think they were, you said prior to that they had thrown to you 3 times.
Yeah.
Do you think that they were picking on Norris Thomas and trying to see exactly how good you were?
I don't know. I mean, that's a natural thing to do in any league, throw at the rookie, and if I'm going to be a defensive back, I'm going to have to respond. And, it's hard to accept, and I don't plan to accept it, really, even though we lost the game. But, I'm quite sure we're going to look at the bright things, the good things that happen in the game, and work from there and get ready for New York.
I don't think enough of the people in Miami took San Diego that seriously. They had lost their last 2 ball games the way we lost this one. They came in here 3-3. They could have been 5-1. Their defense was 3rd in the AFC, and they have a very explosive offense. So we had a lot of respect for them. We knew they were a very capable football team, but I think a lot of the people didn't realize how good they were. But we're still in contention. We're 1 game behind Baltimore. We play Baltimore once. New England plays them once, and we play New England twice. We've got a tough road to hoe. There's no question about it. But the people that are already writing us off after losing to San Diego, that's a bunch of baloney. It's amazing how quickly some of the people that cover the team and follow the team will turn on you since you lost 1 ball game. We committed turnovers. We had 3 interceptions. We had 3 fumbles. One of them was nullified by a penalty. And you can't play that way. We didn't play that good of football, but I don't think that's any reason to write us off after one loss to a team like San Diego, who was a good, bona fide championship caliber team. Not for the playoffs because they're in a tough division, but they're certainly a very good ball club. It upsets me that just to see that when things are going well, they're behind you, and when things don't go so well, they don't say, well, they didn't play well that week or things didn't go too well. It upsets me in that regard. It's not going to affect my play any.
Right.
But it is a little disturbing to see the people that follow the team, that know the players and know they're giving their best, and just to write them off after you've lost a game. We're 5-2, one game behind with 7 to go, and we're in contention. We're in good shape for this time of the year for a team that was supposed to be 7-7 after all the games are finished.
I still need to work more and more on my pass rush. I hadn't developed the pass rush yet. You need to be effective as a defensive lineman in the pros, but it's coming along each week.
Is this game, this professional game, everything you expected?
Well, I expected the guys in the line to be a lot more stronger than they are. I guess, I worked a lot in college with weights, and I really worked on good conditioning and everything. I think that's an integral part of the game, and I feel like a lot of the older players, the guys that were in the league 9 and 10 years, aren't as strong as the young guys that come out of college these days. But I feel that more and more younger players are going to take over the league, and guys my age are going to become the veterans and established guys in the league, and then it's going to be a lot tougher. But I feel that the older guys aren't as strong as I expected them to be.
Yeah, the guys were in there just fighting their hearts out, and it was just a great effort, physical and emotional effort out there on the field, and we really pulled together as a team. And although we had some things happen to us and lost the ball game, we're still a very close unit and closer for it.
Sellout crowd, the earliest sellout they've ever had in Atlanta. In fact, good afternoon to you. I'm Pat Summerall, and this really is Tom Brookshire, back from being the great pumpkin of earlier this afternoon. And as I said a moment ago, Tom, the town is turned on.
Well, Scott Hunter's offense is not losing the football game, which all coaches want, but they're not a good rushing football team. I think you have to go out against the Vikings and literally mug them and be physical, and if the Falcons don't do that, I think they're in trouble.
It is an amazing defensive statistic.
It is.
Just 2 touchdowns given up by this defense.
The last touchdown was the second game of the season, the third quarter, so their defense is going to gamble, and Fran Tarkenton throws quick things. I think it could be a good matchup, but I think Atlanta has to play really over their heads today.
Let's get down and see what's going on the field as we're just about ready for action. On 3rd and long, here's Tarkenton. Looks like they might be blitzing again, and he thinks so. And here they all come this time. Down the middle, picked out by Ron Lawrence, still on his feet. Away from another man. Ron Lawrence swinging up the sideline, now back to the middle of the field. Lawrence inside Minnesota territory. Brent McClanahan made the tackle.
The 3rd interception for Roland Lawrence, and it's all red right now. Now watch Fran Tarkenton wave. He sees the safety blitz coming. Watch his arm go up. Go deep, he's saying. There it is. He hangs it. Tell you, Lawrence can play football.
He doesn't have all that much physical equipment, but boy, he's got a lot of heart. Number 22 is Roland Lawrence.
Roland versus Sammy. There, you've seen it all. Now we'll go back live.
And on 1st down, Scott Hunter rolls to his left. Firing deep for his tight end. Touchdown, McCrary.
There he is, the 3rd-year man from Clark College, 230-pounder.
Greg McCrary.
And Mitchell is out, and McCrary catches the 2nd touchdown pass by this team this year.
A 49-yarder from Scott Hunter to Greg McCrary. Mickemeyer with John James holding. Makes it 7-0.
A great call by Hunter. 1st down pass. He rolls out to get time, and I'm telling you, he threw it a ton. 88 and out the gate, huh?
That's some drive. Took 9 seconds, 1 play. A 49-yard touchdown pass from Scott Hunter. to McCrary. Nickemeyer will kick off. And it'll be Manfred Moore, 2 yards deep in his own end zone, behind the Viking wedge. Moore has got some room. He's still going at the 46-yard line. Carl Farmer made the tackle, but a fine return by Moore.
And you knew he was going to run it out of the end zone, Patrick. Now, the last kickoff return for a touchdown by Minnesota, it's going to shock you, was Lance Rensel in 1965.
Wow.
So I was really holding my breath right here to think about it. Manfred Moore can run, and I don't think he's afraid of anybody.
Here is Farmer.
He's the safety man on this.
He did his job. On first down, Tarkenton is going for the money. Sammy White's got a step. Sammy White has a Viking touchdown, just like that. Roland Lawrence was back there, but White finally shook him.
Well, there's another 1-yard drive. And
One play.
Oh, Sammy White runs so smoothly under the ball. We probably said that too often. But he's like a greyhound. Once he gets straightened out, the head doesn't bob. Good blocking, by the way. Look at Tingelhoff working. Now they double up. Foreman got his nose in there to help. A great throw by Tarkenton, and we're going to have another tie game.
54 yards on that pass completion from Tarkenton to Sammy White. Fred Cox with Paul Krause holding now, trying to tie the score. One play, and the Vikings come right back. Cox ties it right down the middle, 7-7. Wow.
That's only the third touchdown pass thrown on this Falcon defense in 6 games. But they're still even, aren't they? Watch this. Here's the Fran Tarkenton nobody said could play. Throw it out of the pocket. He did. And I'm telling you, he hummed this one strong and on. Yeah, Sammy can run all right.
Sammy can also catch.
Which is more important sometimes. Look at this. Overcome by it all is Bud Grant. He's the same in victory as he is in defeat, though, and that's very important.
An extra large Minnesota shirt for an extra good coach. Buzz Murdy's talking to him right there.
Boy, everybody's awake suddenly now.
It happened very suddenly, didn't it? 2 plays, 2 touchdowns. Scott had a year out of football in which he ran for public office and lost.
You know, they got a street named in Atlanta that his grandfather named, Hunter
That's right.
Avenue.
14-10, the Eagles coming back now. Scott said he liked football better than politics because at least he only had 11 people against him.
Well, and physically it's not as bad either, right?
At the 25 on first down, Hunter throws outside, complete to Jenkins. Stopped by Jeff Wright. Alfred Jenkins made the tackle. Bobby Bryant out there with him, too.
I'll tell you, Bobby Bryant plays solo about as well as anybody. We've watched this little hatchet-faced guy make great plays like this. You're going to look up and you're going to find out that you got about 5 yards, and your receiver says, my gosh, the guy must have come out and run with me out of the huddle. Number 20. So far, Atlanta's been free of fumbles. They've had only 2 fumbles all year and 2 interceptions all year. And that's the reason they're 4-2.
Studwell goes out of the Minnesota defense, and Phil Wise comes in. 3rd and 7 for Atlanta. 7-7 the score. Hunter has time. Throws almost picked off, and I'm not sure. Yes, sir. Fred McNeil. They say he made the interception.
He was juggling the ball as he headed for the sidelines, and obviously this crowd of red doesn't agree. The swing back looks open when he throws it. Hunter throws it again deep in his own territory on 3rd down, and these are great athletes. Blair, McNeil, and Studwell. He looked like he was fooling for control, but must have had it. The guy's right on top of the play.
Here it is again, in the circle, look.
Left corner screen, you go ahead. Well, these linebackers have changed pro football, haven't they?
By the way, the word on Jim Marshall is encouraging. He pulled a hamstring, a big muscle in the back of his leg, and they don't know yet whether he'll be able to play anymore this afternoon or not.
I have a feeling if he can, he'll come back. Look at this, San Diego now scoring. 7-6 over Miami. By the way, Fran is 8 for 14 for 125 yards and 1 touchdown. That laser shot we saw just moments ago.
2nd and 10. McClanahan. Fumble. Atlanta has it. Ralph Ortega. The Falcons make the recovery. There's the flag down.
And they will decline the penalty.
Of course.
And that's the 16th fumble that the opposition has made against the Falcon defense. And that's some kind of scrambling. What a defense. They're all over you. A big play. Watch the blocking. White comes in. Foreman seals off the inside. They get standoffs and yardage, and there's the ball as McClanahan coughs it up. Easterling was underneath that, the safety man. Did he recover that ball, Pat?
I think Ortega made the recovery.
New England 10, the New York Jets.
At the half, that score remains the same.
A blocked punt for the Bengals' only offensive points.
Also in the second quarter, 16, Kansas City.
So Minnesota will take over at their own 27-yard line. And the score is tied 7 apiece. 2 long touchdown bombs. One by Scott Hunter, one by this guy. Tarkenton fires deep for Richard. Picked off by Rollin Lawrence again. He cuts back to the inside of the field and still going. Lawrence is going to be tackled by Stu Voigt and taken out of bounds finally. Rollin Lawrence, 2nd interception of the day, and the Falcons will have the ball in Viking territory.
Again, it was the Falcon rush. Watch the rush come right up the middle now. I don't know how Fran did throw it, and he probably wishes he hadn't. Here's the linebacker. He throws it and then turns aside. The ball is badly underthrown. And number 2 on the INT department for Lawrence. And I'll tell you something, he doesn't know when to quit. This becomes a saga. Watch what happens now. Phantom tight end and little quarterback.
Rollin Lawrence, who grew up in a family that had 21 children.
Boy, it's something to see the Vikings, considering a 7-7 tie in Atlanta, all right at halftime.
That's what he intends to do. Starting to make his move to the locker room.
Won't be much X's and O's, just let's play better football and get on the board.
Somehow I can't imagine him giving anybody a pep talk.
On November 5th, CBS Sports presents Championship Saturday, leading off at 2:30 p.m. Eastern with live coverage of the finals of the Series Championship of Women's Tennis, with Chris Everett heading a strong field. Followed by a special edition of the CBS Sports Spectacular featuring live coverage of the World Middleweight Championship, with number 1 ranked Rodrigo Valdez taking on number 2 ranked Benny Briscoe for the title. And live coverage of the Washington, D.C. International, the major turf race in the United States. Plus the world's strongest men competition featuring the tire toss. That's Saturday, November 5th.
Those 2 interceptions by Rollin Lawrence give him a total of 4 for the year for the Atlanta Falcons. Let's get you up to date on all the scores around the league right now. The game you're watching tied at 7 at the half. Philadelphia, Washington. Joe Theismann starts at quarterback. Billy Kilmer to the bench. Theismann has thrown for 2 touchdowns in that game, had a 3rd called back. Redskins, though, lead at 17-10. Eagles trying to come back. It's now in the 2nd quarter. Cincinnati leading Houston 7-0. The story there, changes at quarterback for both teams. Johnny Hadel is in there for Houston. John Reeves for Cincinnati. Cleveland over Kansas City, 23-0. Darden just intercepted a pass and ran it in for Forrest Gregg's Browns. Return of 19. He now has swiped 4 this year. Adams quarterbacking the Chiefs. The Jets in New England. Richard Todd, whom Phyllis talked to last week, off to another big game. He has had another potential touchdown pass dropped by Wesley Walker in that game. So far this year, Walker has dropped 6 passes that could have resulted in touchdowns for the Jets. He's got great speed. San Diego ahead of Miami 7-6. James Harris has tossed a touchdown pass, but this is a day for the defensive backs. Clarence Duran has picked off 3 passes for the Chargers so far. They are just at the half. Chicago and Green Bay are scoreless in the first quarter. Walter Payton with one beautiful run so far in that game. Dallas kicks a field goal. They lead Detroit in the first by a score of 3-0. Los Angeles and New Orleans. Jimmy the Greek says the Rams dread to go to New Orleans. You can see why. Saints lead it by a field goal, 3-0. And Phyllis, what have we got in the way of a musical story?
Speaking of the Los Angeles Rams, well, for years, Brent, Los Angeles fans have been divided over who should be the Ram quarterback. And early this season, Joe Namath was heralded to be the savior. But it wasn't until last Monday night, behind Pat Hayden, that the Rams looked like a Super Bowl contender again. And Los Angeles, in the voice of Barbara Streisand,
Again, one of the Ram receivers dropped what could have been a touchdown pass thrown by Pat Hayden. The Saints still lead the Rams by a field goal. Chicago has scored 6-0. They're picking on the strong side of Bart Starr's defensive unit up in Green Bay. He, of course, has lost Weaver for the season. Toner is the linebacker over there. Musso scored the touchdown, but the third time this year, the Chicago Bears failed to kick an extra point. It was a bad snap. And the NFL Today will continue on CBS right after these messages from your local stations. Irv, in honor of this, the day of the defensive back so far, how about you taking us into that Roland Lawrence play for the Atlanta Falcons?
All righty, Ben. Of course, the Minnesota Vikings and Atlanta Falcons both boost first-class defensive teams, and Roland Lawrence right off the bat gets in the act as Fran Tarkenton goes to the air, but his ball is picked off here by number 22. Watch the halfback scoot up the sideline here, back to the Viking 49-yard line, which sets up pretty good field position for that Atlanta offense. When they come in, Scott Hunter takes advantage of his position and goes to Greg McCreary, the tight end filling in for Jim Mitchell. McCreary latches onto the ball. Atlanta draws first blood and leads 7-0, but Fran Tarkenton is not going to let that lead last very long. He goes to the air on the next Viking offensive surge, hits Sammy White, touchdown, and the score is all tied up at halftime, 7-7.
You know, Irv, coaches around the league say the Washington Redskins are slow, therefore end arounds, reverses, try to get to the outside against that Washington defensive unit. Well, Philadelphia tried it, and here it comes. Charles Smith, 85, swinging wide. There's a problem on this play, folks. He didn't hold on to the football. So the Redskins have got a chance, and Joe Theismann, who replaced Billy Kilmer at quarterback, had the hot hand. Going to his tight end, Gene Fugit in the end zone. It became 7-0. A little bit later, Theismann had still a second chance, and the former Notre Dame star went to Danny Buggs. Theismann then going to his tight end Fugit in the end zone. It was 14-0. But the Eagles rallied. Jaworski playing with that broken thumb. Betterson ran it in for the score. Made it 14-7 right now. An update, it is 20-17 right now is the score in that game. Washington over Philadelphia. Chicago and Green Bay up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And here they come with Walter Payton swinging to the right side, picking on that linebacker. Then it was Musso cutting inside behind a block by Harper, and that was the touchdown. And the score there again is 6-0. In the NFL today, we'll continue on CBS in just a moment.
Pat Summerall with Tom Brookshire at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, which is packed.
Well, I'll tell you, the crazy thing is the packed statistics at halftime. Usually they don't mean a heck of a lot, but 89 total yards by the Atlanta Falcons is all they've mustered. 29 offensive plays, 28 rushing yards, 61 in the air, but a touchdown pass from Scott Hunter to the big new young tight end. Got them on the board, and they're tied 7-7. Look at these stats, Pat. On the left side's Atlanta. On the right side is Minnesota. Fran Tarkenton, though, with 2 interceptions, 1 fumble, and the Falcons also blocked a field goal attempt. They really do make you turn it over.
That Falcon total of 89 yards is a little bit misleading in that 49 yards of it came on 1 play. So you subtract that, and they haven't done too much. But nevertheless, it's 7-7.
I think that scares you a little bit. It probably does the Atlanta coach, because he's seen this for 6 games already. How are we winning them? But we are. We're winning them with defense, great punting, and being careful on offense. On the other side, though, you think, my gosh, we're doing everything right, and we're still tied 7-all.
They call that defense Lehman's Demon.
Lehman's Demon.
That's what they play like.
There's a demon, that Manfred Moore.
And the guy next to him.
Imagine Oakland giving up on a guy like Manfred Moore. They must really be loaded with people that like to play.
He made a couple of other stops, too. Tampa Bay, for one.
The key, though, is that man right there, Bud Grant. He doesn't yell at you. He looks you right in the eye, and you want to die. You have the guilt, but he's a heck of a solid guy, and he's fair. He's straight out honest.
Somehow he doesn't look right with that sweatshirt on. He's usually in shirt sleeves all the time. Haskell Stanback, one of the Atlanta runners, averaged 1.7 yards per carry in the first half, and Monroe Ely, the other one, averaged 1.2 yards per carry.
Minnesota has a funny fumble statistic. You know, it used to be the other way around with them, but they came in with 16 fumbles and they've lost 8. So now that's 17 fumbles and they've lost 9. The Vikings never used to play fumble-type football on offense.
Tell you how enthusiastic these fans are. This is Nick Mickemeyer, and when he made a field goal in warm-up, they gave him a standing ovation.
Well, all kickers are strange, and he's had his problems. I'll tell you, you know what I'm thinking that might be fouling up the Vikings' thinking is that the defense comes from different areas, and they change personnel a lot. Now you're lining up in front of a different type defensive player. It's Bailey 1 minute, Famuino the next, and none of them are the same. And I think you can make a few mistakes blocking against that, and it's obvious the Vikes have.
They show you so many different combinations. Look at that score, 30-0.
Mike Pruitt just scored from 1 yard out for the last one.
On second down, Tarkenton again drops in. The blitz is on. They got him. Greg Brezina sacks Tarkenton. And again, the big red crowd comes to its feet.
Number 50 has been playing extremely well down here for 10 years. Watch this now. Let's see where he comes from. They come from different spots. The outside, over the blocker. That's his 5th sack, 5.5. I don't know what half a sack is, but he got credit for it.
Half a sack is one that's not full. All the way back to the 48-yard line, where it'll be 3rd and 24 for the Minnesota Vikings, tied with Atlanta 7-7, and now they back out. They fake the blitz. Tarkenton fires for Rashad and has him. At the 15, Rick Bias on the coverage, but Rashad had just enough of a step to make that reception.
I don't know how he made the catch. I think Bias might have interfered with him, trying to keep him from making contact. But he's a glider also, and he's tall. Fran gets excellent protection. They took him on the line of scrimmage. You can see Tingelhoff working. Early throw, by the way, for a deep pass. And a tremendous reception by Rashad.
The throw was perfect. There was not much any defensive back could do about that.
Number 6 for Ahmad Rashad.
Today, 1st and 10. Houston, Cincinnati, 10-0 now.
Chris Barr's 24-yard field goal.
First down, Minnesota, the ball at the Atlanta 15. Chuck Foreman takes the pitch. He's going no place. Rollin Lawrence, the cornerback, came up to make the tackle. Helped out by Robert Pennywell. Pennywell, by the way, playing in place of Fulton Kuykendall, who they feel was headed for all pro possibilities down here.
Broken arm, didn't he?
Right. Pennywell has played well.
Thing to worry about, that the fans have to worry about, and the cheerleaders, is that now Fran will do some rollout type action or sprint out.
Listen to that chant of defense. Deservedly so.
And he'll try to make you overcommit. And the defense has to be wary now.
2nd down now for Tarkenton as he looks over the defense. Scoreboard says 2nd and 13 at the 18. Score tied 7-7. Both teams fighting.
30-second clock, operator. They're cutting you off. Taken down on the field.
They're cutting off the 30-second operator. I wonder how he feels about that.
That's the first signal like that I'm sure Fran Tarkenton's ever seen. I thought he was saying that his powder was wet and he couldn't strike a match or something.
Let's see how dry his powder is now. As he drops on 2nd down and throws over the middle. Bob Tucker makes the reception at the 9, struggles to the 9, I should say. Tackled by Ray Brown. Reception number 2 for Tucker.
Tucker of the big hands, I'm telling you, for a 218-pounder, he did it about as well as any tight end you'll see. Fran's looking for him. He delayed about a count, Tucker did, coming off the line. He always took a shot very well. And makes sure he gets it up over the line, doesn't he?
They mark it right at the 10, where it'll be 3rd down. Looks like about 7 to go. And Tarkenton sprints out to the right. Looks, fires in the end zone for Rashad. He can't get it. Over and out. And we'll see Fred Cox very shortly.
Big Jim Bailey came in and made Fran throw it too high, so I think it was a wasted throw. You don't want an INT when it's a 7-all tie. The blitz came from the outside. Now you're watching the receivers. There's the corner breakout. And the ball is thrown really up in the nickel seats. Even Rashad couldn't catch this one.
That was a good pattern. Fred Cox make it from 28 yards away. Up and wide to the right. No good from Fred Cox. And it's still Atlanta 7 and Minnesota 7. Good blocker, too, they say. 6 minutes and 20 seconds left to play in the 3rd quarter. Atlanta 7, Minnesota 7. Crowd starts to come to its feet. Tarkenton starts to drop. Rashad makes the fumble. Atlanta has it. Ralph Ortega made the recovery.
The 17th fumble they've caused the offensive team to make. Mike's picked up the blitz. Rashad gets the catch and tries for too much. Bias strips him. Now watch how many people show up to help.
Ortega. A little encouragement for field goal kickers. A bullseye between the goalposts as Mickemeyer will come on.
He was threatened a little bit before the Chicago game by Bennett to either get it through the uprights or look for another occupation, and he kicked 3 against the Bears.
John James kneels at the 27, so it'll be a 37-yard effort. Mick Mickemeyer. Good snap. He pulled it left. And they let him know about it. The score remains Minnesota 7, Atlanta 7 with 4:38 left in the third quarter. Mickemeyer with John James holding, and listen to the boos. The fans are on Mickemeyer, no doubt about that. At the 34, it'll be a 44-yard effort. Half blocked. Somebody got a hand on it.
Matt Blair is dancing around, and he's one of the best at doing it.
And so Mickemeyer has it partially blocked, and he comes out. The second effort unsuccessful by him.
Seven for 19 in field goals, and he might put himself under house arrest. The crowd's pretty angry right now. Oh, that hurt kick.
Everything's not bad. Tarkenton gives to Miller straight ahead. Maybe he got a couple. Famuina. New Orleans has assumed the lead over Los Angeles, 17-10.
Blanchard to Elois Grooms, which sounds like it came from punt formation. A 3-yard, a 3-yard fake kick.
Field.
Hi there, down in Grits country. We're right out with the crowd here, though. I really can feel the football.
Super.
And I'm telling you, these people have been non-stop 10 decibel shouting the whole game.
Second down situation for the Vikings now. Again, it's Chuck Foreman trying to turn the corner, trying to go somewhere. Ralph Ortega recovered and back. Lost yardage.
If anybody gives up, like Humphrey that time chased to the far side, if everybody had given up on the play, a guy like Foreman turns that into the big play of the game. Watch this. And they hustle, so they might overrun it. Everybody does except Ortega jumps on for a ride. We did think he was hurt earlier, didn't we?
He was. But he got well. Claude Humphrey staring into that Minnesota offense. 11 yards to go for a first down. Minnesota at their own 25. Tarkenton drops. Now he's looking to throw and does. He does find Foreman. Foreman does not get the first down. Good defense by Atlanta. Wilson Famuina made the tackle.
Notice how Humphrey and company kept Fran inside this time. That's Yerry working against another all-pro Humphrey. They kept him inside, and he threw a sidearm shot to get it out of there. I tell you, they don't quit.
7-7 the score. A record-breaking crowd in Atlanta. Over 60,000 watching Chuck Foreman run now. And Chuck gets up about to the 48. Claude Humphrey and Wilson Famuina.
And I'll tell you, actually Foreman carried Famuina with him for about 5 yards. That was some bit of digging. 3 straight field goals by Mark Mosley, he of the heavy right leg. Washington 23-10 over the Eagles.
See what happened to Claude Humphrey that last play. Well,
Claude and Voigt
fencing.
And they like each other. Look at this run by Foreman.
Chuck Foreman got about 5, and he tries again, and Foreman broke it. Does not quite get in. Chuck Foreman stopped by Ray Brown at the 1-yard line. It's like waiting for a bomb to go off when you watch him carry the football.
Well, his longest run was an 18-yarder before this. But you're right. You got to keep piling on him. He slips by here. Let's see what he does. They run the linebacker by. Actually, Famuina knocked him out into the open a little bit, the big defensive nose man. And if he wasn't looking over his shoulder, 44 might have scored. Now the problem from a yard in might be more difficult.
It'll be 1st and goal for the Vikings at the Falcon 1-yard line. 51-yard run by Chuck Foreman. Down to the 1. Not in. Ray Brown came up to stop Miller.
They're not thinking field goal. The Vikings are thinking at least 6. It's a tough defense. They're big and they're young, and that's Brown, the safety man, that sealed it off.
That was not Miller. That was Mark Keller, number 39. The 225-pounder. That's what they're trying to get into the end zone.
Fran will dump it for a touchdown occasionally.
Again, Keller does not get in. They try to tug him back. Nothing doing. Rick Bias and the rest of the Atlanta defense made the stop.
Underneath that, Follweman and company. Look at this. They look like they line up off sides. They got good penetration on the goal line. Even Eddie White is coming up. They can't get Keller near the goal line.
Even with a second surge, he could not get in. Again, the red handkerchiefs and anything red being waved right now as the crowd yells their encouragement. Stu Boyd made a spectacular catch. I believe Goodrum was in motion.
They might have called the illegal procedure. Let's see if that's what the call is. You'll hear it by the crowd. Don't worry about it.
A flag is down, and I think Goodrum was in motion. He started up into the line too soon. Watch. Goodrum is number 67.
All right, take a look. He'll come in motion. I thought I saw some movement on the line of scrimmage, too. I couldn't tell if it was just Goodrum or my eyes deceiving me at this age.
It was one heck of a catch by Stu Boyd.
Bob Tucker is in the football game.
Robert Miller replaces Mark Keller.
Little speed.
And now it's 3rd down at about the 6-yard line. Foreman and Miller, the running backs now. And Tarkenton fakes. Being chased by Claude Humphrey. He throws. Touchdown, Bob Tucker. Humphrey almost had him.
Look at Tarkenton and Tucker from New York back to Minnesota. And that little pass might have put more money in their pockets than the Vikings have known. That was a big one. Atlanta is a tough hump to get over. Here's the play. Inside fake. Humphrey's chasing. Tucker all the way from right to left of the formation. And wide open.
Bob Tucker's first touchdown for Minnesota. Fred Cox makes it 14-7 Vikings. 8 minutes, 14 seconds left to play. And Fran Tarkenton, who grew up in these parts, draws a little sigh of relief now as the Vikings lead by a touchdown and an extra point. That's Lehman Bennett.
He's saying be very careful. The Vikings would love to have Scott Hunter get careless.
Miami has taken the lead over San Diego 13-7 in the 4th quarter. Scott Hunter on a long count. Draw play. Again, it's Thompson. And he is doubled in half and hit by Scott Studwell and Doug Sutherland.
That big fella only carried the ball 13 times so far this year. He may get some more action. He looks like he's always looking for a big run, not just 3 or 4 yards.
3rd down. 19 yards to go, and again, it's be careful time.
Paul Krause has been sitting down the middle just waiting.
Hey, Hunter ducked under a bunch. Scott Hunter hit by Fred McNeil. He did not get a first down, not near.
You said he ducked under a bus?
Looked like a bus.
Looked like 3 or 4 go by. Looks like the B train. Watch this. Scott Hunter disappears. And on Halloween comes out running. Finally buried.
So John James comes in, number 6 for Atlanta. And Manfred Moore is deep for Minnesota. They do not try to block it.
Ooh.
James hits a bomb.
Oh.
All the way back to the 12-yard line is Manfred Moore. Atlanta gets him at about the 24. Ron McCartney was the first guy down to make contact.
53 plus about 13. So you're talking about a 66-yarder by James, and has kept them in this football game all the way.
Next week, CBS Sports presents these regional games. Dallas against the Giants, New Orleans against Philadelphia, and San Francisco will be here to play the Falcons. Chicago gets Houston, and Green Bay plays Kansas City. And we'll be up in Minnesota to watch the Cardinals play the Vikings. And Tampa Bay plays Los Angeles. Steve Bartkowski warming up on the sideline now.
Meaning Atlanta knows they must throw the football now and get on the board. And Tarkenton must keep it about 4 or 5 minutes.
Tarkenton gives to Foreman, and Foreman swings around to the outside. And this time, they did what you have to do. They gang tackled him. Ralph Ortega and Rollin Lawrence did most. Bud Grant and Bob Tucker. Big Claude Humphrey has had a busy afternoon.
The defense has done just what they've been doing. They've been allowing people a little over 5 points a game, and they've been only scoring 10 points a game on offense. The defense has played the Vikings as well as you can play them.
Again, the chant of defense goes up from the crowd. 2nd and about 8. There's Foreman again, and again they stop him. Ball about the 28-yard line of Minnesota now. Steve Bartkowski.
What tools he has. He can just stay together long enough. Avoid the rush. I'm thinking about, here's the defensive line play. Again, the Falcons are still very aggressive. Look at the linebacker fill that hole. We've got to be thinking that was Pennywell. We've got to be thinking about Claybo's punt. Should they not make the first down? The Falcons almost got Claybo's last punt.
Sammy White split wide right. They're faking a blitz, and it's not just a fake. He fires deep for Bob Grimm. Sammy White, though, made the catch and dropped it.
Oh.
White had it and lost it. Rollin Lawrence was with him, but Sammy White had it until he hit the ground, and the ground met him and knocked it loose. Here's the blitz.
Beat the blitz by throwing it high to a very fast receiver. Tarkenton unloads it now. It's already gone. There it is. The blitz is there, and the hands of Sammy White are so good he did have control until he hit the ground. Watch this from the other angle. For a moment, he has it.
Here's that Claybo punt. Down he goes, but no contact. Rollin Lawrence at the 35. Down at the 37, 38-yard line by Fred McNeil. Claybo went down, but nobody touched him or the ball. A yell for Bartkowski. Watch Claybo.
All right.
After the kick is over.
Now it's legal, though. He becomes a normal back now. Wow. Falcons do hit you at all times.
Bartkowski's first offensive play. He gets to Haskell stand back, and he is met by Jeff Wright. Fred McNeil.
Hunter was 7 for 18 for 69 yards and the 1 touchdown bomb. And now the Falcons do have to air it out.
3 minutes left to play. Minnesota 14. Atlanta 7. Bartkowski looking over at the yard line markers. On 2nd and about 9. 8. Call it.
Hasn't thrown a pass yet this year. He's
about to right here. Page after him. And down he goes. Page got the hand on him. Sutherland, a flag is down way downfield.
Alfred Jenkins was running an up pattern, number 84, and Atlanta thinks they've got it. They're lucky that the ball was controlled by Brodkowski.
It's going to be an Atlanta first down.
Alan Page practicing some lawyer tricks that he's learned in law school.
Cal Lepore walking it off.
Be an automatic first if it's defensive holding. That's what the debate is, I think.
Scott Studwell. And now Cal Lepore says
Holding, 29.
holding.
Defense, automatic first down.
Automatic first down. It was Phil Wise that was called for defensive holding. The extra back in the game. Or he was, not now. Now they go back to the regular defensive setup.
Brodkowski still hasn't thrown a pass this season.
2 minutes, 39 seconds left to play. Nobody has left here. Woody Thompson barrels straight ahead to about midfield, where Matt Blair drives him back. Clock still running. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left to play.
Thompson now has 51 yards rushing and showed up late. Watch it, straight ahead blocking. Everybody fires out. Right at Alan Page, who can't get down and clog the hole.
Atlanta ball at the 50. Brodkowski. Alfred Jenkins had it and couldn't hang. Brodkowski threw it hard.
Threw it like Sparky Lyle. It looked like the ball might have sailed. Maybe it was a wet one. Pretty good pattern, too. I believe Alfred Jenkins was looking for pretty good territory there.
2 minutes, 4 seconds with the clock stopped. 14-7. Minnesota over Atlanta. Minnesota would go to 5-2. Atlanta would go to 4-3 if it would stay like this. Brodkowski drops. Fires. Jenkins wide open. I believe it was Haskell's standback, 24 instead of 84. That's correct.
Haskell's had some trouble standing up the whole time. Brodkowski now throws it. The linebacker has fallen down. I don't believe he realized how wide open he was.
Paul Krause was coming over, but there were more yards to be made. 14-7 still. Atlanta has the football, first down. The ball at the Minnesota 37-yard line. Vikings lead 14-7 with that much time left. Atlanta has all three of their timeouts left, and so does Minnesota. Page jumped at the last minute, picked off by Bobby Bryant. Bryant cuts back to the inside, knocked down by his own man, Mark Mullaney. Bobby Bryant with a clutch interception for Minnesota.
And that's only the 6th interception for the entire Minnesota team this year. He reads it. The young receiver, by the way, had almost come off sides anyway. And I'll tell you, number 20 has played in so many clutch games and done something like this that you sort of take it as what's supposed to happen. Did he read it? Run, Bryant, run.
Watch Mullaney knock him down. Lehman Bennett. Certainly nothing to be ashamed of. His team has put on a heck of an effort. Minnesota right now has the football. 1:50 left to play.
I haven't heard a boo in this stadium except for perhaps against the kicking game. Pretty positive crowd in Atlanta these days.
Tarkenton just kneels. And that ought to be enough to let time run out. Francis walking back away from his offensive group now.
He's still got the ball, too. Maybe his last one from home state Georgia.
Might be. And so the Vikings, who, as Tom mentioned, play St. Louis next week up in Minnesota, improve their record to 5-2, and Atlanta goes to 4-3. And depending upon what happens in that game between the New Orleans Saints and Los Angeles Rams, they could either be tied for first place or be in second place.
They'll remember Atlanta. Bud Grant is so glad to get back on that plane and head for Minnesota country. What a tough one.
A tough defensive unit against a tough defensive unit. Chuck Foreman had a 51-yard run that set up the winning touchdown, a pass from Tarkenton to Tucker.
Foreman ended up with 91 yards rushing.
The other Minnesota touchdown, a pass from Tarkenton to Sammy White. Some greetings for us. Hate to say goodbye to Atlanta. This is a lively, good, booming city.
And it's good to be back down here. It's sophisticated, and it's hot, and it loves the Atlanta Falcons.
There were times when that was not true. Don't forget the CBS Sports Spectacular next Saturday, beginning at 2:30. For Tom Brookshire, this is Pat Summerall saying goodbye then from Atlanta. Now we take you to CBS Sports Control.
All right, thank you very much, Pat and Tommy. You mentioned the Los Angeles game, New Orleans. It affects the standings. We're in the third quarter right now. Los Angeles leading by a field goal, 2017. Let's get you up to date now on everything that has happened. Of course, the game you watched, 14-7. How about Bob Tucker? Fired by the Giants, and he goes and he catches the key pass. We're going to skip how many games? There we go. Back to Washington and Philadelphia. In the fourth quarter, Washington leads that contest by a score of 23-17. The story there, of course, Joe Theismann starts today at quarterback in place of Billy Kilmer, and already he has tossed for 2 touchdown passes. Houston and Cincinnati, the game was all but over, and Houston tied it with 27 seconds to go. It is now 10-10. Pastorini off the bench to throw the tying touchdown pass. Cleveland all over Kansas City. 37-0. Do you remember what happened when last season wound down? The Chiefs upset the Browns on the final Sunday. That is not going to happen today. The New York Jets and the New England Patriots. The Jets had them worried for a while. Patriots come on, and as Jimmy the Greek said in our pregame show, the Patriots now are developing into a great football team up there after a sluggish start. San Diego and Miami. Fourth quarter, Chargers driving. 13-7, Dolphins battling to hold on. Chicago and Green Bay being played in Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is the oldest of rivalries. 16-0 in the third quarter. The Bears lead the Packers. Dallas right now at the half is ahead of Detroit. That third quarter should just about be getting started down there. 23-0, the Cowboys in command. They are rolling. 6-0 already. And, of course, the game that Pat Summerall mentioned, bearing on the standings now with Atlanta having lost. And the Rams lead it in the third quarter, 2017. We're going to show you some highlights from that game in just a moment. It has been a wild game down there in the Superdome. And the NFL today will continue with some highlights on CBS in just a moment. San Diego has just beaten Miami. The final score in 14-13. The Chargers had 4 shots inside the 10-yard line. They couldn't get it in. James Harris finally rolled in for the touchdown. Berneschke kicked the extra point. Who is Rolf Berneschke? He was drafted by the Oakland Raiders out of Cal Davis, cut by that team, picked up by the Chargers. He's the biggest man in San Diego right now. Irv Cross, let's take a look at some highlights around the league.
Defense was the name of the game today, I think. Britton, of course, down in Atlanta. The Minnesota Vikings and Atlanta Falcons went head-to-head, and as 2 great defensive teams do. But Fran Tarkenton early in the ball game goes to the air, and ball's picked off by Rollin Lawrence. Pretty nifty interception here as the defensive back returns the ball along the near sideline here, down to the Viking 49-yard line, setting up a scoring opportunity for his teammates. Scott Hunter takes advantage of that field position and goes to the air right away to Greg McCreary, a tight end who's substituting for Jim Mitchell, and Atlanta draws first blood and led 7-0, but Fran Tarkenton comes back right away, and he goes to his favorite receiver, Sammy White, 55-yard touchdown pass, 7-7, scores all knotted. In the third quarter, the longest run of the day and the biggest play of the day, I think. Chuck Foreman going 51 yards all the way down to the 1-yard line, but that Atlanta defense held for 2 plays. On 3rd and goal, Fran Tarkenton rolls out here, finds Bob Tucker in the end zone, who's recently acquired from the New York Giants, and they take a 14-7 lead, and of course the game ended that way. But Steve Bartkowski came into the game for Atlanta, Brent, and tried to get his teammates on the scoreboard, and you know Steve's been out with a bad knee, and he goes to the air here, and watch what happens. The ball is picked off by Bobby Bryant, and he takes the ball down to the Atlanta 30-yard line, and from that point on, the Vikings simply ran out the clock and won the ball game 14-7.
Magnificent game down there today. That's a tough defense Lehman Bennett has put together. Just doesn't have the offense, does he? Now let's take a look at Philadelphia, Washington. Here's a play you may have seen at halftime if you were with us. That end around by the Eagles, and yep, they're going to fumble it up again. Here it is, and the Redskins have got a break. Joe Theismann, he's been saying now for a year that he should be the Redskins quarterback. He has made no bones about it. As a matter of fact, he said, I want to be traded if I can't play. He'll be back after his performance so far today. That was Fugit for a touchdown, and a few moments later, Theismann had it back again. He'll go to Danny Buggs, down to the 15-yard line. Now watch where Fugit lines up from the right side. He came from the left side for that first score. Eagles' James Betterson ran it in for a touchdown as the Eagles tried to come back in the second half. And it is now 23-17 as Harold Carmichael was able to catch a pass. Irv?
Brent, in the 3rd quarter in Green Bay, the Chicago Bears have a commanding 16-0 lead, and the story there has to be Walter Payton. When you have the league's best running back, what do? Give him the mail, let him carry it. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry this year. Here he takes the ball down to the 5-yard line, a good tough run, setting up a Chicago scoring opportunity by Johnny Musso. Musso takes it in from the 4. Bears missed the extra point, but led 6-0. Walter Payton in another offensive series drives into the end zone. Chicago took a 13-0 lead at this point in the game, and right now lead the game 16-0 in the 3rd quarter.
Detroit and Dallas. The Cowboys, the only unbeaten team in the NFC. They had rolled to 6 straight victories. They hosted Detroit. Detroit, not a good road team, as you know, and it was the Cowboys who got away to a quick start. Herrera's field goal here made it 6-0. And now watch what happens to the Detroit offense. Landry back. Mark Washington picks it off, and he gets down to Detroit's 18-yard line. Staubach will hit Billy Joe Dupree. Look at the time Roger had. Dupree just crushes into the end zone. It was 13-0. Detroit made only 2 first downs in the first half. Landry trying it again. Hegman with the interception. Scott Laidlaw then took this pass from Staubach, and watch the blocking he gets as they go back to the other side of the field. Caught it just before it hit the artificial turf in Dallas. And suddenly it was 20-0. Now that Los Angeles-New Orleans game that I told you about. Wild action. Rams always encounter trouble down there in the Superdome. Today, no different. Now watch Pat Hayden, his mobility. Skips off to the left. Harold Jackson, 18-yard touchdown. Strawn replaced Muncie, who is in Hank Stram's doghouse, and he'll give up his jersey on this 4th down to get the ball down to the 3. And from there, Galbraith took it in for the touchdown. It was 10-7 Saints. Watch Chuck Chris come and hit Hayden. On this sack, it made the Rams go for a field goal, and it was tied at 10. Here is a fake field goal. Grooms, lining up as a tight end, caught the pass. 17-10 with 34 seconds to go. Watch this work by Jackson down in the corner of the end zone. It is a beautiful catch right down here. Touchdown. And as you know, of course, the Rams are a little bit ahead. And Phyllis, I understand you've got a couple of gentlemen on the other end of the line.
Let's see what they have to say. They took off their black sweaters and the pumpkin heads. Fellas, what do you have to say out there? Pat and Tommy.
You didn't have on any black sweater, did you?
No, and Pat's still trying to make me disappear anyway. Great game here. I'll tell you, it was one of the toughest football games, and I think Bennett and Eddie LeBaron and people have turned the team around faster than I've ever seen one turned around. If this isn't a wild card team, and maybe even better than that in that Western Division, then I'm going to be surprised.
Particularly on the defense. They seem to have a lot of talent on defense, and obviously they're well coached. Minnesota, of course, you know, never count them out.
Well, they look like they might win the division. That's not the same Minnesota team that we've seen the past 4, 5, 6 years. I don't think they're quite as explosive. Now, maybe the good defense did that, but anyway, I just think Atlanta has really turned it around, and this is a good southern city that deserves and loves football.
And as you mentioned before, we think, and they think here, there is a very good wild card possibility for this team, particularly as you look at some of the other teams like Detroit losing apparently to Dallas again. It's going to be a question right up to the very end, I guess.
I think the main thing that happened, though, when Bennett's team came out and opened at home and beat the Rams, and now they go out for the Rams, and if they could get even, well, if they get a split with the Los Angeles team, I think they got a pretty good chance.
Okay, Phyllis, we disappear.
Okay. Presto, you're away. Oh. Okay.
All right, happy Halloween, guys. Final score is just in. New England beats the New York Jets. The final in that game is 24-13. We have some highlights from that contest, and let's roll them up and take a look at the Jets in New England. Richard Todd has come on so well for Walt Michaels, but it is the New England Patriots who are one of the best teams in the league. Grogan, 18 yards to Darryl Stingley, who was coming off that big Sunday of a week ago when he was up over 100. Fool the cameraman this time. Where is it, guys? Touchdown, New England. 10-3. Now it is the Jets with the ball. Todd back. He looks for Barkham this time. And he's pushed out on the 43. Todd again. Got time. Straight down the middle. Barkham. Touchdown. Jets tie it up at 10. Grogan now wants the burner. Morgan can run to 4-4. He's a #1 draft choice by the Patriots. 17-10. Patriots ahead. Grogan again, this time to Hasselbeck. And a final score again, 24-13. New England defeats the New York Jets. That just about wraps it up for the game that you've been watching, Atlanta and Minnesota. Of course, a lot of key games still coming up later today, and then next Sunday, full round of activity. We'll have the doubleheader game right here on CBS. And for Irv Cross and Phyllis George, I'm Brent Musburger. We certainly hope that you have enjoyed the NFL Today on CBS, and we'll see you next Sunday. Have a nice week, everybody.
The NFL Today is a presentation of CBS Sports.
Good afternoon from RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C., where today the Philadelphia Eagles go against the Washington Redskins. Hello, everyone. I'm Don Crickey. This is Sonny Jurgensen. It is a beautiful day in Washington. Temperatures in the mid-60s, clear sunny skies. But there are some problems with the Redskins right now, primarily injuries. It's been since 1970 that they've been a .500 team at this point in the season. 6 games in. They need a win today badly.
You said it when you talked about injuries. Chris Hanberger, the defensive signal caller, is out. Pat Fisher's had another back operation. He's out. A lot of the strength of their defense has been taken out when they lose those two people. John Riggins, of course, the fullback, the #1 fullback, is out for the year. And, of course, Mike Thomas missed the entire preseason. No training camp. He's been coming along slowly. The offense of the Redskins has been struggling. Defensively, Don, they've played well, though. They've played well enough to win.
Well, they're one of the best teams in football still defending the run. The Eagles have an injured quarterback, has a broken right thumb, does Ron Jaworski, but he's throwing the ball very well. He's a tough kid, and that's about the only problem they have is his thumb. They're a good ball club, have been only about a play away from winning a lot of games. Last week the Cowboys had to come from behind in the fourth quarter to beat the Eagles at Philadelphia. And there is George Allen, his troops rallying together. Allen says we need no speeches today. His guys know what's on the line right now. Should they lose today, it would, of course, be 3-4, and that'd be the first time in almost 10 years that the Redskins would be under .500 to the halfway point. The Eagles are 2-4, but they've been so close so often. They are a hard-hitting team, very spirited team. They lost last week, as every Eagle fan knows, in the fourth quarter to the Cowboys. A blocked punt was a big play in that game. As the Eagles go on offense, 1st and 10 at their 36-yard line.
Wait, 16 slant!
Jaworski, a double reverse. Here comes Charlie Smith. He gets a block from Wade Key, and Charlie Smith rips ahead, fumbles the football. Free football. Who's got it? The Redskins have it.
Big play. Charlie Smith carrying that ball very loosely then. Take a look at the way Charlie Smith, coming from the bottom of your screen, coming around after the handoff from Sullivan, goes back the other way. But look how he's carrying that thing out in one hand as he gets in a crowd there. Very careless with the football. And the Redskins come up with a big play to start with.
If you joined us late, the Eagles took the opening kickoff back 28 yards, and then on their first play from scrimmage on a double reverse, Charlie Smith was stripped of the ball. The Redskins recovered at the 44-yard line of Philadelphia. Now they're driving. There's no score, but it's 1st and 10 Washington as they're mounting a challenge now at the 15. Theismann gets time into the end zone. It is touchdown. The tight end, Gene Fugit, caught the ball. And Washington comes out smoking and puts the first points up.
Good throw here by Joe. Same pattern he called before. He just changed it up a little bit and came back to the weak side this time on a post pattern to Gene Fugit. Good throw right up where he could handle the ball, and they get a touchdown. This is something they haven't had in a long time. Let's take a look at it again. This time he actually runs Frank Grant out to the corner there to open that middle up. Ball had to be accurately thrown, and Joe stuck it right in there.
So the Redskins go very quickly, 43 yards in 6 plays. The extra point is drilled up and good by Mosley, and so after controlling the ball for 2:41, the Washington Redskins, who need a victory so very badly, go out in front 7-0. Now we see your old friend Jerry Smith coming in.
It's nice to see Jerry back with the Skins, and believe me, he's dangerous down in this territory. He knows what it is to catch in that end zone.
Put a few in his hands. 13th year for Jerry Smith. Oh, Tyson has a problem now, and they really waffle him back at the 16-yard line. The Eagles shoot their linebackers on just about every play, at least one. That time they had Bunning coming.
Well, here's a case of trying to do a little too much. You got 1st and 4 on the 4-yard line going in. You'd think that the Redskins would like to run one there. I'm sure they'd talked about this during the week, but you see what happens when you try to do it a little too much. 1st and 4. Now they got to go 15 yards for the touchdown.
That was Drew Mihalik, his 3rd year out of Notre Dame, making the hit coming on the blitz. So now it is 2nd and goal from the 15. Good play fake. Theismann looks. Fugit, 2nd touchdown of the first quarter.
Same pattern they ran to the other side. The exact same pattern. They went to the slot formation. They just throw Frank Grant to go to the corner, and a post pattern by Fugit. Once from one side, once from the other, and you see the hole. And again, an excellent throw by Joe Theismann for the touchdown.
So Gene Fugit, who came into the game.
Take a look at this right here. Over the linebackers, they had pretty close coverage here. Fugit's a big target. Ran a good pattern, good throw.
He's caught 2 today, both for 6 points. And Mosley hits the extra point again. So the Redskins, starting with excellent field position on both their possessions, convert both those into touchdowns from Theismann to Fugit. Lusk comes into the game with the best per carry average on the Philadelphia Eagle roster. Averaging 6 yards a carry, better than that now. He hasn't had the ball that much after that game. The Eagles start to mount a challenge. Here is Pedersen, and he's not done yet, and Pedersen's going to go in for a touchdown. And the Eagles are back in the football game as James Pedersen goes 17 yards and picks his way through the secondary of the Redskins.
Boy, this Pedersen has really looked good. You see the cross blocking up the middle. Key and Walters come in to make those blocks there, and then just a fine piece of running by James Pedersen. Big man, it's 6'2", 210, and he gets it in for the touchdown. Very impressed with that drive by the Eagles. Trailing 14-0 here very early after giving the ball up to come back and keep that thing on the ground and move it upfield.
Didn't lose their composure. They went right with their game plan. They apparently feel they can run on the Redskins. Certainly in that drive they did. And now we'll have the point after attempt. Horst Muhlmann drills it through with Roman Gabriel holding. And so now we have 2 minutes and a second left to play in the first quarter here at RFK Stadium in Washington. And as you see, the Redskins lead has been cut to 7.
That Cincinnati score came on a block punt.
Looking down and long now for the Eagles. On their 16. Jaworski pump fake, and he's got the gun armed, and here is Charlie Smith going for the ball, and is intercepted by Gerard Williams. Gerard Williams is the man who intercepts for Washington at the 45-yard line of the Redskins.
Just not enough hose right here. Jaworski wants him to go deep, has to reload. Doesn't quite get it out there far enough. You see Smith right there. Didn't have enough hose. Again, Washington, excellent field position. Mosley's going to attempt a long field goal.
He's made his last 5 field goal attempts this season. Has hit from 53 yards out. His best as a Redskin. Oh, he's wide. He had the distance, but he was wide.
I don't think he got all of that either. You know, this starting off here for the Redskins.
They say that Mosley has to have a strong right leg just to get on and off the field with that shoe of his.
That's not true. It's really not true, Don. I'll explain that to you.
He's really turned into a fine field goal kicker, and the Eagles will get the ball when we come back trailing by 7. The Eagles have the ball. They get it at the line of scrimmage on the field goal attempt from way outside the 20. Have it at the 31. Go to the run. Yes, it is. It is Sullivan with the ball. Good fake by Jaworski. A couple of Eagles stayed in to pass block, and the Redskins looked for Jaworski to throw, and it's a gain on the play of about 6 yards.
And Cleveland's gone up 13-0 over Kansas City. There's something in the starting of the second quarter here that's a little interesting, is that the Eagles' second-string running backs in 10 carries have 74 yards. Their first-string running backs only have 10 yards and 4 carries. Betterson has done the major part of the work.
Actually, there's a gain of 7 on that play. Almost 7. Be about long 4, short 4. Here comes Jaworski looking out. Going to Sullivan again, and he crashes close to a first down out near the 42-yard line. Eagle backs aren't big. Sullivan's about 190. Hogan goes about 205. Both good acceleration. Betterson has really been their most effective back. Betterson and Lusk teaming up.
Yes, I think they're mixing them a little bit now, going with Sullivan and Betterson.
Ron McDowell and Harold McClinton were on the stop for the Redskins.
And it looks like it's just going to be enough for the first down.
Got it. So the Eagles, you have to admire the way they've kept their composure, Sonny. They fell behind 14-0 early in the game. Theismann throwing for touchdowns. They gave Washington the ball in good field position. Fumbled away at the 43 of the Eagles, and Washington got it there and took it in. Had a 16-yard punt. Washington got the ball at the 29 and took it in. And the Eagles came back, ran the ball right at the Redskins, went 79 yards in 11 plays, with Betterson going in from 17 yards out to make it 14-7. Now they've stopped the Washington drive, and the Eagles are moving the ball again.
They've stopped in the last 2 possessions.
Jaworski's looking deep. Open is Carmichael. Big gainer. First down and more. Here goes Carmichael inside the 35. Harold Carmichael at 6'8" takes the ball inside the 35 and down to the 34, 24 yards.
This is the amazing thing. A little play-action pass going back. We had Kreftley going to the corner. How can somebody as big as Carmichael get lost in the secondary? And look at this little running. You know, that's now, look at that stat, 73 straight games that he's caught a pass for the Philadelphia Eagles. How did he get lost in that secondary?
So the ball is now down inside the 35-yard line. First and 10 for the Eagles as they start to mount a challenge. They down by 7 in the second quarter. Here's Betterson. It's tough.
Oh, I'd say
he's taking Redskins with him.
A good block again by Tom Sullivan. He made a good block on Dusick again.
Betterson's running the ball now, Sonny, 7 times for 51 yards.
And you see that score. New England's gone up 10-3 over the Jets. Grogan, an 11-yard pass. And boy, what a year Darrell Stingley's having.
New England's really starting to come now, aren't they?
They looked dangerous last week.
17-3, they stopped.
Well, they got everybody back now. That makes a difference.
Second and short now for the Eagles. Sullivan running hard, has another Eagle first down.
Boy, that offensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles really controlling the line of scrimmage now.
Curtis knocks him down, but 7 yards downfield.
Look at the job coming off the ball on that side. Ed George coming off. Jerry Sizemore, good blocking, all of them. Morris and Key and Walters. They're controlling the line of scrimmage, and that's affording those backs little holes, a little daylight to run through.
Yeah, you got to watch. It's the right end, tight end Keith Kreftley. He is very deep threat all the time. Tight end is averaging over 21 yards a catch. Another power sweep to the right. Sullivan carries.
Not much running room then.
Sizemore, 76, was out in front. And Clinton fought through the blockers and made the knockdown. Miami having a problem now as San Diego's taking the lead down at the Orange Bowl.
Yes, James Harris hit Bob Klein with a 4-yard pass to put San Diego up from top. 7:25 left remaining in the second quarter.
We have 9:15 left to play in the first half here at Washington. The temperatures in the mid-60s, a clear sunny day.
This is a situation coming up right here, 2nd and 8. You would think Jaworski might go upstairs with it, and you might be looking at a blitz.
Jaworski gets some time. Now he's got a gun and he puts it up. Kreftley fights for the football and it comes down. Nobody's got it. A good play made by the strong safety Ken Houston.
Houston makes a great play here. Jaworski can't get set. I think we're going to have a holding call anyway on the play.
Yep,
but he can't get set. He throws the ball off balance, off his back foot, and you can see he had a man open. Kreftley was open, and Kreftley did a good job in stripping Ken Houston of the ball in.
Eagles and Redskins are very evenly matched. Washington has scored 83 points this year. Philadelphia 81 coming into this game. Washington has given up 91. Philadelphia 87. They both average 116 yards a game rushing. And here is the mark-off against the Eagles. It'll set the ball back outside the 25-yard line of Washington.
Holding, 72, offense, second
Wade
down.
Key got caught. You know, you're talking about how even they are. Also, the Eagles have scored 81 points, and Washington had scored 83 coming into the game.
That old bit about it's only holding if you get caught. Walt Michaels, when he played for the Cleveland Browns, the guy who's now coach of the Jets, his opponent one day was yelling all to the referee, he's holding. Michael says, I'm not holding, it only looks like I am. Second down and
Here
20.
comes the blitz.
Jaworski eludes the blitz. He has a problem now as Eddie Brown comes up and knocks him down at the line of scrimmage, the 27. 3rd and 20. Ooh, Atlanta.
Atlanta goes on top of Minnesota. A 49-yard pass from Scott Hunter took Greg McCrary. 7-0 they lead in the second quarter. Is Atlanta something else? What they do? They lost to Buffalo 3-0. They lost to the Skins here.
10-6.
10-6.
We're driving towards the end. All the same players they've had when they've been losing the last few years.
That's right. Different
coach.
Different
Bennett.
coach. Different attitude. 3rd and 17.
What do you look for?
Ooh. Well, I would think he's got to shift his backs right here and get into a little better passing set.
He dropped. Here's a big rush from Brundage. Jaworski gets it away, but it's overshot. He was going to Carmichael at the 10-yard line. Curtis dropping back in zone coverage, the big linebacker, knocked Carmichael down right on time as the ball came in.
Yes, he was even high then for Carmichael, but Jaworski did a good job going back up through. He was under heavy pressure from Brundage then. He went back up through the pocket and had to cut it loose, and he threw it a little high for him, but good coverage on the part of the secondary then.
So now Horst Moolman is in to try a field goal. He hasn't tried many this year, only 4, has hit 2. Hasn't hit anything outside the 40.
And one of the specialties of the Redskins, something they work on, Don, is blocking these things.
And he kicks a low ball, Moolman. He got that one away. He's got it plenty far. He's got it right through the uprights.
He split it.
Drills it in from 44 yards out, and all of a sudden the Eagles have rallied back right into this football game. It is 14-10 Washington with 7:45 to play in the first half. Mosley, who was just wide on a long attempt a little bit earlier, now try to hit one from 50 yards. He's been good from 53 this year. Theismann holds, snap and set down are good. He really got that one. And he drilled it right through. What a hit. 50 yards, that would have been good from 58 yards.
And we got a penalty too.
But apparently it's against the Eagles because the play is going to go.
Let's see, the Redskins might take
that's right.
They
Let's
may
see.
take the first down.
That's right. They might take a lot of people say never take points off the board.
It's a questionable thing, scoring what kind of confidence you have in your offensive football team. They're going to take the points off and go for it. You can see how a game is turned around. You get 3 points up, 3 points off. An interception could have meant 7 the other way.
Well, I don't think anybody knows percentages better than George Allen, so he figures if Mosley can drill it for him from 50, he's going to get a closer shot.
He's made the statement
Running
before.
into the kicker, automatic first down.
He's made the statement before that he would do that, and he had it a couple of times, a couple of years ago against Cleveland and also Houston, and he said, look,
it
would be a blast at your offense if you didn't take the first down, so he's making the same decision here.
So the Redskins take the points off, the 50-yard field goal negated as they take the penalty yardage, get a first down to the 29-yard line. Theismann rolling, got room to run, and a blocker. And Theismann, as all smart quarterbacks do, bails out after he gets the first down.
Good smart play then.
13-yard run.
That shows you the quickness of Joe Theismann. Everybody going the other way. It was a pass, but he had so much running room. You saw the block by Hoss, and you see leading interference right here. Gene Fugit, good block downfield, and Joe very wise. He runs out of bounds.
Theismann is 6'1", 190 pounds. For a while there, a couple of years ago, when he wasn't playing, he returned punts every so often.
Yes, he did. He can run.
Eagles shut that run down. Thomas carries the ball and gets popped hard. Lemaster, a fourth-year linebacker from Kentucky, made the hit. Theismann was the runner-up his senior year in the Heisman Trophy, battling to Jim Plunkett.
Big opportunity for the Skins here after taking those points off the board to come away with 7.
Second down coming up. Almost 10 to go. Ball at the 15. Theismann play faking, takes a look in the end zone, looking for Fugit. Oh, it's intercepted. Oh, he caught it out of bounds, they rule now. Beautifully done by Randy Logan, going way up to get the ball. But he came down out of bounds.
Came down out of bounds. Look at it, a little play action again. He had Fugit on a corner pattern. A lot of time to throw the ball. Makes a good throw. If he throws it any farther, he'll lead Fugit out of bounds. And Logan couldn't get his feet down. Intercepted, but doesn't count. 2 interceptions they could have had on this drive.
One would have gone for 6.
And this one would have stopped the drive, but watch him come down. 1 foot in, the other one out.
But Fugit had a step on him, so Logan did a big job defending on the play, and now it is third down and almost 10 for the Redskins, 15-yard line of Philadelphia. Redskins leading 14-10. Guns it into the end zone. Out there is Calvin Hill. It is a touchdown for Washington.
And I think we're going to have a holding penalty.
Coming back. Penalty markers are down. We could have a hold against the Redskins.
Now this is the thing. It's really plagued them.
That's it. Holding against Washington. So they took the 3 points off themselves, and now the 6 comes off on the hold.
Let's see if we can pick up who. Hill runs a corner pattern. I don't see the hole. It could have hard to tell who the call was on, but watch this. Calvin Hill right in the corner of the end zone.
Holding, 75, offense, third down.
Terry Hermeling got called for the hole.
Right guard.
And this has happened to the Redskins throughout the year.
That takes them out to the Philadelphia 25-yard line. It was at the 15, and now it is third down and 20. Theismann and the Redskins in the lead, 14-10. Second quarter. 4:25 to play in it. Theismann, now he's going to be, here's another penalty marker down. Theismann eludes the rush, puts it up in the end zone. Danny Buggs is there to catch the ball. But there is another penalty marker down.
Yeah, a couple of penalties down.
And apparently, Sonny, we got another one against Danny. Doesn't know it yet, but Lightning Buggs lost his 6.
I'll tell you, Theismann's having a lot of tough luck. He's had him in the end zone twice now, and is called back again.
Illegal procedure.
They call in illegal
up
procedure. And here again, the mobility of a Joe Theismann running right by the defensive end. coming, and they're bunting, chasing him out of bounds. See if he steps on a back. Oops, it looks like he had a foot out of bounds anyway when he threw the ball. Good throw again, off balance by Joe.
So the clock is stopped with 4:18 to play in the first half. The Redskins lead the Eagles 14-10 as Bill Berge comes over now, talking with the referee Jerry Markbright. Redskins, if you joined us late, jumped out in front of their first 2 possessions on touchdown throws from Joe Theismann, both to the tight end Gene Fugit. Then the Eagles rallied back in the game, ran the ball 79 yards, 10 rushes against the Washington defense, put up a touchdown.
Illegal formation, number 84, offense. Declined. The passer was out of bounds. It's 4th down.
There you go. They did catch him out of bounds.
And he caught his foot out of bounds.
That was a great shot. That
yeah,
told
you
the
can
story.
see. Look at his foot right there. His foot is out of bounds. You see the white come up when he threw the ball. And it wouldn't have counted anyway because we lined up in an illegal formation.
CBS cameramen don't miss a thing.
That's right. Were they right there? Well, another field goal attempt.
Bob Daly with some excellent direction, and now we have another long field goal attempt. Mosley hits it.
He drilled it.
He got it. Fortunately for the Redskins. So 46-yard field goal is up, and now the Redskins have a 17-10 lead with 4:13 to play in the first half. So Mark Mosley, who has hit earlier in the game, will try once more. As you see that net up, Theismann holding, ball is right on the money. Mark Mosley makes it go, and now with 1:02 left to play in the first half here at RFK Stadium in Washington, the Redskins open up a 10-point lead, 20-10. But with Jaworski's long-range arm, Ron Jaworski could easily put up points. He can throw it a long way.
He can. Imagine that he's having a little difficulty having that injury to his throwing hand, and probably gripping the ball could be somewhat of a problem to him, but he did cut one loose, somewhat underthrown, and he had it picked off. But he realizes now, trailing 20-10, and even going off at halftime, that he's going to have to come up and start putting that thing in the air.
Nearby Laurel Racecourse in Maryland, it'll be the 26th running of this mile-and-a-half classic on grass, the Washington, D.C. International, coming up next Saturday here on CBS. Some of the great thoroughbreds from around the world entered in that one. Now they have about the 43 in time for a play. Theismann, deep drop, puts it down to Fugit. Look at this. Fugit. Oh, he is down to the 4-yard line as time has run out. 52 yards, 4 more, and it would have been 6 points. So the first half comes to an end with a dramatic play that almost went for Gene Fugit's 3rd touchdown reception of the game.
Phyllis and Irv, some have said that Joe Theismann is cocky, but he's backing it up this afternoon, isn't he? Let's take you around the league now, get you up to date on all the scores. Atlanta and Minnesota, tough defensive game. Roland Lawrence has intercepted a couple of passes for the Falcons, 4 for the season. They are tied, the 3rd quarter just underway at 7. And, of course, the game you're watching at halftime, Washington leading Philadelphia 20-10. Houston and Cincinnati. Cincinnati opened with John Reeves at quarterback, but to start the second half, they have changed, and Kenny Anderson is back at control. Kansas City and Cleveland. The Browns have dominated this game, and the Chiefs quarterback, Tony Adams, Darden has intercepted a pass for the Browns. He ran that in for a touchdown. The New York Jets apparently are for real. At the half, they are tied with New England at 10. Richard Todd would have the Jets ahead, except that Wesley Walker dropped still another pass out in the open. Great speed, but his hands are questionable. San Diego and Miami. The Chargers leading by a point. In the first half, Clarence Duran intercepted 3 passes for the Chargers. Remember the last time James Harris played down there in the Orange Bowl for the Los Angeles Rams? He passed for better than 400 yards that Sunday afternoon. Chicago has just scored again. Walter Payton crashes over. This time they kick the extra point. 13-0 first quarter in Green Bay. Dallas Cowboys, the NFC's only unbeaten team, they lead Detroit by a field goal in the first. Los Angeles gave up a quick field goal to New Orleans. but they have come back. Pat Hayden to Harold Jackson, and now they lead it 7-3. And Phyllis, what have we got in a musical vein this afternoon?
Well, speaking of the Rams, that's a good question. A lot of fans were curious for a while. In fact, for years, Los Angeles fans have been divided over who should be the Ram quarterback. Early this season, Joe Namath was heralded to be the savior, but it wasn't until last Monday night behind Pat Hayden that the Rams looked like a Super Bowl contender again. And Los Angeles, in the voice of Barbra Streisand,
And of course, as Jimmy the Greek reported on the pregame show, Muncie not getting along with Coach Stram right now. Muncie did not start in that game. Instead, he was replaced by Strawn. And the NFL Today will continue on CBS right after these messages from your local stations. This is get even day for the Cleveland Browns. Do you remember how last season ended, Kansas City upsetting them? Well, right now, the Browns lead the Chiefs by a score of 30-0. And Irv, this is defensive back day. Show me Roland Lawrence again.
Okay, down in Atlanta, the Minnesota Vikings and Atlanta Falcons in the third quarter are all tied 7-7, and defensive backs make things happen. Fran Tarkenton goes to the air early here in his first quarter, and the ball is picked off by Roland Lawrence. Number 22 makes a nifty run up the sideline here, setting up good field position for his offensive teammates along the 49-yard line. When the offense does take the field, this is what happens. Hunter going to McCreary, who's substituting for Jim Mitchell. Touchdown. Atlanta leads 7-0 in the second quarter. Minnesota comes back, however, right on the next offensive series of plays. Fran Tarkenton goes to Sammy White, 55-yard touchdown pass, all tied up in the third quarter, 7-7.
And I've been monitoring it, Irv. It's still a tough defensive game. Bob Tucker has just caught his first pass as a member of the Minnesota Vikings, but the Falcon defense is still dominating. Now let's check in on the game you're watching. Here it is. Against the Redskins, go wide. They say get to the outside with some speed. Redskins don't have speed on the outside. The problem is Smith doesn't hold on to the football right here. So Washington's got an opportunity. Joe Theismann is making the most of his day in Washington. Gene Fugit caught 3 passes for 82 yards in that first half and 2 touchdowns. That's one of them right there. Theismann a little bit later. He'll go to Danny Buggs, formerly of the New York Giants, and this play will get down to the Philadelphia Eagles' 15-yard line. And then the combination, Theismann to Fugit. Second touchdown, it was 14-0. The Eagles, though, are showing some life under Vermeil, and they didn't quit in this ball game. Here's Betterson going in. That made it 14-7, and of course it is 20-10. And Irv, what do we have out of Green Bay?
Watching that one right now, too, Brent. It's 13-0 in the second quarter. The Chicago Bears over the Green Bay Packers. And this, of course, is the oldest rivalry in the National Football League. When you had the league's greatest runner, what do? Give him the ball. Walter Payton here is averaging over 5 yards a carry. Goes down to the 5-yard line, setting up a Johnny Musso touchdown run. He goes in, and Chicago takes an early 6-0 lead. Missed the extra point. Walter Payton gets on the act again. This time, he goes in. Score, extra point good. Chicago leads in the second quarter 13-0.
Irv, cover me on that Los Angeles game. I think the Saints may be going in. Let's show you now what happened to the Rams. It was Pat Hayden hooking up with Harold Jackson, 18 yards, touchdown pass. See the mobility? That's the difference. The quarterback that can move has got an edge in the NFL, and he hit him down there. How are the Saints doing right now, Irv?
I'm listening, and I haven't gotten a score yet.
I gave it to you with a commercial break, right?
It's 3rd and 1 on the 10-yard line. The Saints are threatening.
Keep it right there and tell us what's going to happen here for us. They're stopped. It's that Ram defense. The NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment.
Number 55 is important to me on the football field, as other players around the league know. But 55 is important to everyone off the field. If people observe the speed limit and buckle their safety belts, there will be fewer accidents and injuries. You should also keep the right amount of air in your tires. Check them every few weeks. Driving can be fun and safe if you do it like the pros. For more information and a free NFL schedule, write Safe Driving, Box 1801, Washington, D.C.
Height, 5'11" in his stockings. Weight, 178 stripped, about 190 in football togs. Underneath was a full-blooded Sac and Fox Indian. Jim Thorpe, the legend, winner of the Olympic decathlon. He became one of our first professional football players. He played with guys like Nasty Nash and Fats Henry and inspired the Young Pro League. Football has many legends, and they're all here waiting for you at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Don't miss it.
The preceding announcement was brought to you as a public service by the National Football League. The score here at the half at RFK Stadium in Washington is the Redskins 20 and the Philadelphia Eagles 10. I'm Don Criqui with Sonny Jurgensen. A spectacular play just before the end of the half, almost resulting in another Washington touchdown.
Yes, right before the half, the last play of the half, Theismann back through the ball. Watch the adjustment that Gene Fugit makes on the football. The Eagles back guarding against a long touchdown. You see the safety Sanders coming over. Fugit breaks a tackle right here, runs the ball down to about the 4-yard line before getting hit as time runs out. But watch Gene Fugit call timeout on the ground. He's calling time right here. Give me a timeout. Give me a timeout. Time had expired, and great play by the Redskins. Only unfortunately for them, they didn't have time to get one more play off.
Well, the play started with just 7 seconds left in the second quarter, and it ran down while he was running that pattern. Theismann has been very interesting at quarterback in this game. He's done a pretty good job, a very good job.
He has done exactly what George Allen wanted him to do, and that is generate offense. He came in, he's been running around, running sprint outs and so forth in the first half. He was 11 out of 23 for 207 yards. A good half of throwing for him. He had a couple of touchdowns called back in one of his drives. But you look at the stats here, the turnover is a big thing. 2 turnovers for Philadelphia, no turnovers for Washington. Yeah. No mistakes, only 1 penalty by Washington. Big thing, and even the time of possession there, Philadelphia, even though they've had the ball, they've given it up, and then they had that short 16-yard punt by Spike Jones. And throughout the first half, the Redskins enjoyed excellent field position, never deeper than their own 45 to start from, and well, you can play from there.
The Philadelphia Eagles, there's George Allen now. George got to feel pretty good. His team has not, as you pointed out, Sonny, generated a lot of offense throughout this season so far, scoring only 8 touchdowns in the first 6 games. The biggest production was 24 points against the St. Louis Cardinals, the game they won 24-14, but scored just 17 against the Giants, 10 against Atlanta, 10 against Tampa Bay, 16 against Dallas, only 6 against the Giants last week. So changing pitchers has helped them, at least this week.
It has, and that's what they wanted. He gives that mobility. He throws the ball a little quicker than Billy. He moves around a lot more than Billy. But, you know, you go back not to defend Billy Kilmer and get into any kind of controversy over Kilmer and Theismann, because
Kilmer's been great for this team for a long time.
He certainly has, but they have made big plays today that they haven't been making throughout the early part of this season. New England leading the Jets now 24-10.
New England's got a machine. They got it working. They really got it. Mosley is into the ball. A 51-yard attempt. He got it. Boy, is he playing football for the Redskins. So the Redskins come out and salute Mark Mosley, and he well deserves it, as he now has put the Redskins out in front 23-10. Here comes Jaworski now with a 2nd and 10. His team down 23-10 in the 3rd quarter. Blitz is on, and Ron McDowell is the man who pops through.
The dancing bear.
The back had to pull out and hit Dusek 59, and that let McDowell a free lane.
This is what they like. When they're down, they know people have got to put it upstairs, and they don't have to worry about the run. They can just tee off and come. You know why he hesitated right then at the end? He wanted to make sure they found out when the film is on him on Tuesday. He wants to make sure they found out who got that sack.
Hoses get that 79 in from every angle.
San Diego leading Miami.
4th quarter now.
Ooh, 7-6 still.
San Diego's got a lot of offensive players.
They can hurt you in a hurry, but looks like a defensive struggle today.
So now 3rd and long yardage. 3rd and 20 for the Eagles and Jaworski. On the run, the ball was broken up. Carmichael went for it. Joe Lavender made a big defense. He intercepted the ball. Lavender
what a play.
had his hands on the ball inbounds.
What a great play by Joe Lavender. You see him, he goes back, can't find anybody. Curtis was coming from his left side. He rolls out. You see him chasing right there, but look at this interception. How does he get this ball? It looks like Carmichael gets it, and Lavender comes away with it. And this is the thing, it's hurt him, but of course getting that big start at the beginning of the game, you can imagine what this does to your football team in a crucial game when you keep making mistakes like that, getting shoved back.
That is wide to the right, Bugs wide to the left. 3rd and long yardage. Theismann gets it away. Going for the football is Frank Grant. Intercepted. Johnny Outlaw intercepted the ball. He's coming right back in a hurry. He can play football with the ball. Johnny Outlaw takes it all the way back to the 40.
And I'm telling you,
hey, that was the play.
A heck of a play by Johnny Outlaw.
Your pal Len Hoss finally got him.
Yes, but I'm telling you, you can't blame Joe Theismann. He makes a good throw under pressure. He puts the ball out. Just an excellent play there. But Joe Theismann got forced into this situation because of the holding calls on the offensive line.
Andy Logan leads the blocking. Here comes...
Guess who?
Mark Mosley.
Got a 4th quarter score. New England 24, the Jets 13. Cincinnati 10, Houston 3, and it's a big game for Cincinnati.
They all are when you're down. That division's going to be tough for anybody to win. Mike Curtis comes in to block on this field goal unit. Mosley really rockets into the ball. Oh, he hit the upright. Try all week and not do that.
Can you believe? I saw him do that during the warm-ups. He hit the same post.
So it goes as no good. Negated immediately as soon as it hit the upright and bounced the other way, and the Eagles will have possession when we come back. Best in the NFL, as we mentioned earlier, from a yardage allowed per carry by the opposition, 3.2. Jaworski looking around for somebody. Puts it up. Carmichael's there, and he catches the ball for first down and across the 50, but there is a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage.
Now we're going to have one on them.
You get a guy running around like that, the linemen don't know where to go.
Well, let's see what we're
We
going
have
to
a
have.
face mask.
Uh-oh.
Face mask, 72.
Oh, Darren Talbert got called for a face mask. Thought it was going to be one of those things where the Eagles get called for a big play because the Redskins have had big plays called back. It's never too late here. Philadelphia, if they could have thrown the ball a little better, I think this game would be a lot closer than it is right now. You know, they're trailing by 13 points, 12 minutes, still plenty of time for Jaworski. He gets a little feel for what he's doing right now. Oh,
that's got to be out. Nope. Yeah, there's a flag. Swing pass out to Sullivan, but Krefley, the tight end, was 10 yards downfield with the snap of the ball.
Like he got a head start. You can't knock him for that. He's just getting off on the ball.
Right.
And everybody else was slow getting off on the ball.
You know, a lot of people forget. They think of you as being the Redskin quarterback, which you were for so many seasons, but you originally came up with the Eagles as an apple-cheeked young man out of Duke.
That's right. Back in there you go. You see Krefley leaving early. Nothing like a little, you're going to get a head start, you might as well go.
Make it a good one, huh?
Make it a good one. Smart thing Ron does here is gets rid of the ball. He knows there's a penalty. He saw Krefley leave. He got rid of the ball instead of taking some punishment back there because it's open season on you when you're just standing there.
First down.
Yes, way back in '57 it came up with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's 7 nice years there. Ooh. Cleveland really putting it to Kansas City, 37-0 now.
Kansas City will make the turn here of 1-6. Jaworski lets her rip. Carmichael's out there. Touchdown, Philadelphia. A big play with 11:58 left in the game. A 48-yard touchdown throw. Absolutely what they draw it on the board.
We just said plenty of time to go in here and just let him get a feel for what he's doing. And here he got some time. Good pass protection here. You see they got McDowell down. Sizemore back. Gives him time to reload. Throws the ball and he throws a strike. And there's no catch in Mr. Carmichael. And we have ourselves a ball game.
That second pass block by Sizemore released that play because he would have been down. Perfect strike. So now we've got a football game again and a lot of time left as Horst Muhlmann hits the extra point. And the Eagles move back to within 6. It is a 23-17 game with almost 12 minutes still to play.
And they're either going for a long field goal or they're going to fake it. They're going for a long one.
This is a long, actually, you know, the way he hit the ball the last time, Sonny, that would have been good from this far out.
And this will be a Washington record if he makes it 54 yards.
He's hit from 53 this season.
A lot of talking. They have the capability of faking this thing. They didn't. Oh.
Nope. That gives the Eagles pretty good field position because it's outside the 20, and as you know, the line of scrimmage on a missed field goal from out there will go to what the line of scrimmage was in the field goal attempt. In this case, it's the 37-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 there for the Eagles. They have a lot of time left, 5:46.
San Diego beat Miami 14-13. That's the final. How about that?
And that was at Miami. So it is now out to the 48-yard line of the Eagles, and the clock shows 4:38 and running. Philadelphia's turned the ball over 3 times in the game. The Redskins but once. The Eagles, you recall, turned the ball over on their first play from scrimmage, and shortly thereafter, Theismann had it in Fugit's hands in the end zone. The Eagles now go ahead if they can take it in. They're a long way off. Good play fake by Jaworski.
He's got a man open.
He does. Sullivan all the way down to the 21-yard line, and he's not out of bounds. The clock continues to run. A big play, a 31-yarder.
You see Sullivan coming out at the top of your screen. Jaworski holds the ball, hides the ball real well, and they just lost Sullivan. He's wide open. Eddie Brown has to come back over and make a play. Big play for the Eagles.
All those big Redskin linemen were fighting, so they thought the ball was run right at him.
Yeah, that's the thing. He really hid the ball well. They put it behind him on his hip. And the Eagles are in scoring distance now.
So the Eagles are challenging. Sold out RFK Stadium. All 55,000 will rise up in their seats now. Eagles challenging, trailing by 6. Pedersen goes to the run, trying to turn the corner. The Redskins cut it down. 32, Mike Curtis was on the play along with 20, Joe Lavender. Down to the 20, and the clock is stopped with 3:34 left to play.
This is probably the biggest possession right here. This first down at the 22-yard line. They're at second down on the 20-yard line now. But this series of downs has to be the biggest of the ball game so far.
Redskins jumped out in front, 14-0 in the first quarter. Eagles came back to make it 14-10. Redskins got a couple of field goals, led 20-10 at the half. Then opened up a 23-10 lead in the third quarter. Now it's 23-17, and the Eagles are driving. 2nd and 8, 20-yard line of Washington. 3.5 minutes to go. Jaworski fires. It's intercepted by... Did he get it? Looked like Gerard Williams got his second interception. He did.
On a badly thrown ball. Ron Jaworski, and what an interception here. Watch this.
Remarkable interception.
He has him open, and just that, you see the ball going down. Look at this catch.
He got it with one hand.
What a catch. Great interception by Gerard Williams, and you see the man touching him down then. Number 85, Charlie Smith. You see it right here. Boy, he made a great catch.
With Sonny Jurgensen, this is Don Criqui back at RFK Stadium in Washington. 46 seconds left to play in the game. The Eagles in white with the football at the 30-yard line of the Redskins. It is 4th down and 20 coming up, with Washington holding to a 6-point lead, 23-17. Football game for the Eagles could be on the line with this one play. Here come the Redskins. Jaworski eludes the rush. Now throws. The ball is slapped down, and the Redskins take it over. Brad Dusick is congratulated as the man who got the ball.
Yes, they stopped him. Big defensive play then. And the Redskin defense was definitely up to the challenge here, because the Eagles had every opportunity deep in their territory to score here, and all the pressure rested on the defense's shoulders. And look at Brundage coming up, and Brad Dusick really gets up in the air to knock that ball down.
He got all of it, and so the Redskins get the ball at their 30-yard line with just 41 seconds left, and the Eagles are out of timeouts.
Yes, all they have to do is run a couple of plays now, or he could fall on it one play, and they may have to run 2 plays. It's according to how quickly the referee marks the ball and gets it back into play.
Free football. Theismann almost lost it, then fell on it. And now the countdown begins. 33 seconds left to go, as you see, down to 30, and the Eagles helpless to stop the clock.
Now they don't have to run a play. They can stay in the huddle. And this is what they could have done at the 2-minute drill, the 2-minute warning earlier, and they ran one and almost had it picked off.
So the Redskins, with a win here today, will stay in the running for the wild card spot. They go after the first 7 games with a 4-3 record, 3 full games behind the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are routing Detroit 30-0. And there it is. We're coming right down to the final pop of the gun. The gun sounds. The field fills with jubilant Redskin fans. And the Washington Redskins get the victory, and it didn't come easy after they had the big lead. The Eagles fought back, and Washington holds on to win at 23-17.
Bob Abellini, a 2nd and goal to 4. Avellini to Musso, and he is very close. He's in for the touchdown. Johnny Musso scoring his first touchdown of the season. Cracks in, and the Bears take a 6-0 lead.
And the Bears are simply hitting people. You watch Noah Jackson and Walter Payton block as they take Luke out of the play, and then Musso cuts back behind the block and just drives up and over for the touchdown. The Bears are on the board. Now watch 34 and 65 as they double team. Out goes Luke, in cuts Musso for the touchdown. Good, simple, fundamental blocking by the Bears. They're really hitting.
Bob Thomas to attempt the point after Brian Beishnagel the hole. 5:34 to go, first quarter. High snap, and he's going to have trouble. Here is Beishnagel trying to salvage the play, but to no avail. So they just didn't get the ball down. It was snapped high. Beishnagel tried to get it placed. He could not. Let's look again and see just how high the snap was.
It was fairly high, which has to destroy the timing as he reaches up, juggles it momentarily, and there was no chance. A good decision not to kick it, but Beishnagel could not take it over. The Bears settled for a 6-0 lead over Green Bay.
From the 36, a gain of a half yard. Up the middle, here comes Payton. To the 45, he may go. He's to the 35, the 30. Walter Payton is cut off. Just outside the 5-yard line, as coming over there in a hurry was Willie Buchanan. And Walter Payton just lightning quick in the secondary.
And Tom Toner missed the tackle. 59 is the man that had to get him. He was the one to fill the hole. He gets these arms on him, but Payton is so elusive. He just broke away and then turned on the speed, and finally it was a foot race. He pinned him in the corner, and Buchanan knocked him out of bounds, but Walter Payton has got to be pushing 100 yards already.
Well, that was a 58-yard run, and you're absolutely right, John. He has 111 yards and 9 carries. He may have some day. We still have 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Walter Payton, boy, he's had 13 100-yard days. He just now registered his 14th of his career. What a career he's having. The ball just outside the 5, first and goal. Avellini, here comes Payton. And Payton is in for the touchdown.
Unbelievable. There's Noah Jackson giving a little tap on the head, number 65. It was simply extra effort by Walter Payton. That's why he's the best in the NFL there is today. Watch him as Musso leads the way. Now he's going to get hit a couple of times. It goes up and over, and then the contact is made here by Gray, and then he just drags 2 or 3 Packers in, including McCoy, Gray, and Carr, into the end zone. He is unbelievable, that's all.
12-0 now. The Packers trail Chicago. Musso with a 4-yard run, and now Walter Payton with a 5-yard run. Beishnagel the hole. Bob Thomas this time has the placement up and through the upright. And the Chicago Bears, there's a flag on the play at the 6-yard line. Right now have a 13-0 lead, as Pat Haggerty indicating a penalty, illegal procedure against Chicago. So they're going to have to try it again. We'll hold it right here with 1:58 left to go in the first quarter. You know, the thing about Payton on that last run, he is tough inside, but he can go outside. He can block. We saw him block earlier. There's nothing he can't do well.
That's correct, and he's not considered a real big back. He's about 5'10", but he's put together well, 205 pounds. If there ever was a back that could run without blocking, no back runs without any blocking, but if he does it sometimes without blocking.
All right, we're going to try it again after the 5-yard penalty. Thomas boots this one up. Practice makes perfect, and he got this one too. So now it's 13-0. The Chicago Bears with the lead. 1 minute 58 seconds left to go in this first quarter of play. Payton with 117 yards. First down now. First and goal at the 9-yard line. Avellini to Walter Payton. Look at Payton inside the 5. He's going to fight his way down close to that goal line. You cannot tackle that guy high because he'll just carry you with him, and he's got to be inside the 1-yard line.
There was some excellent blocking, and watch number 22, Johnny Musso, the block that he throws to help Walter. He'll hit Fred Carr, 53, which you can't see too well, as you saw Jimmy Carter kind of run out of the play there, and then Payton just takes 3 or 4 of them to bring him down. Just sheer power. Look at that. The legs keep going. We'll get a better look at the blocking in a second. Watch 22, Musso, hit Fred Carr right there, and out of the play he went. Johnny Gray tried to make the tackle.
Second and goal, diving in is Musso. He's in. Touchdown. So the Chicago Bears get some more breathing room.
He just barely got over, but that was enough. Walter Payton into the end zone, up on top of that white line. If you're over it with the ball, it's a touchdown.
So Walter Payton scoring again. The block from Musso. I think I said Musso carried, but he was the lead blocker that time. He takes it in. It's 22-0. Payton now with 197 yards, 2 touchdowns. Point after attempt, Bob Thomas to kick. Ashnagle a hole. 12:53 remaining. And Bob Thomas adds it. It's 23-0. The Chicago Bears well on their way to victory number 3 of the year with this 23-0 lead led by the marvelous Walter Payton.
And I'm going to leave you and go downstairs. Hopefully we're going to have a post-game interview, Gary.
All right, the NFL today will be following as this game is winding down here at Lambeau Field, and it's all over. The Chicago Bears have won the 116th meeting between the two clubs. A convincing 26-0 win here in Lambeau Field.
Right now, New Orleans is driving against Los Angeles with time running out in the Superdome. The Saints could pull that one out. Let's get you up to date on the games that are now in progress. Baltimore leading Pittsburgh by 10 and make it now 16-0. Roosevelt Leaks has scored in that game, but he has also been injured again, and now he is out, but the Colts are rolling. Oakland and Denver, the big showdown in Denver, and the Raiders lead it in the second quarter by 7 points. Seattle and Buffalo. Lowly Buffalo having trouble against a second-year team, 14-3 in the second quarter. San Francisco has jumped ahead of Tampa Bay. Of course, the Buccaneers still desperately trying to get that first victory. And here's the score. Fourth quarter, time running out. Saints are now driving, 26-24. Rams are ahead in that game. The story there, Muncie didn't start, now he's in doing good. Dallas rolling to its 7th straight victory. They will be the only unbeaten team in the NFC. Detroit gave them no competition today. Chicago and Green Bay, the game that you watched, of course, the Bears blanked the Packers 26-0 in that 205-yard day by Payton. On the game's final play, James Harris ran a keeper and scored for the Chargers 14-13 as time ran out. The New York Jets and the New England Patriots, the Patriots coming on strong now, 24-13, the final score there. Wesley Walker dropped what could have been a touchdown pass in that game, and now I see that the Saints are setting up to kick a field goal that would put them ahead in that game. Cleveland beating Kansas City 44-7, revenge for what happened a year ago. Houston and Cincinnati go overtime today, 13-10, final. How about that field goal attempt now? Hit the crossbar, and I think ricocheted across. It looks good. They've gone wild out in the Superdome. It's 27-26 right now. New Orleans. Washington, final over Philadelphia. 23-17. The story there, Joe Theismann. He starts today. He pumps some life into that offensive attack. Minnesota a winner, 14-7, but they had to battle for that one all the way, and they pull it out. So again, it is 27 right now to 26. New Orleans ahead of Los Angeles. And the NFL today will continue on CBS in just a moment. New England added the extra point, or I should say Baltimore added the extra point, so now they lead Pittsburgh by 17 points. San Francisco has scored again, and they lead Tampa Bay by a score of 14-0. And Phyllis, do we have somebody ready now out in Green Bay?
I certainly hope we do, and I tell you what, this man, Walter Payton, certainly deserves to be talked to today. He carried the ball 23 times for phenomenal, as you said earlier, 205 yards and 2 TDs, and Herb pointed out that he is leading the league 858 yards, and he's light years above everyone else. I think he said McCutcheon came in second. Let's talk to him. I'm anxious to hear if he even knows he's that far ahead. Johnny Morris, are you ready for it? Ready for it? Ready.
Gave all those nice statistics, so I won't go through them again, Walter. 205 yards, that ties a Bears record.
I am Johnny. As I was a kid and I watched Sears play with the Bears, he was my idol, and everything that he did on the field, you know, I just idolized it. And to come out here today in the same field, to accomplish this defeat, it just makes me feel good all over.
Well, the running game went so well against the Packers here. Everybody ran well. Did you do anything different, or were the guys just blocking a lot better than they did against Atlanta last week?
That's it, Johnny. As we went over the films of the Atlanta game, we just looked at it in about 5 or 6 plays where it's just a matter of inches where we could have broken for long gainers, 60 or 70 yarders, and that would have been the difference of the game. And this past week, we just worked on our blocking techniques a little more, and it paid off today.
Now, you go about 5'10", 205 pounds. That's not real big. And you go in the middle of the line, you go around the ends. Do you mind carrying the ball that much?
Well, you know, those guys up front, you know, they make it a lot easier for me because they're getting their blocks and they're sustaining their blocks. And believe me, you could do it. You could just walk through there.
No, I don't think so, Walter. How about the Bears now? They were 2-4. You had a couple of bad losses. You're 3-4. You still feel you have a chance to get to catch those Vikings?
I think so because Minnesota, they got a tough schedule coming up, and we're just getting into the thick of ours, and the guys are really coming around. So we still got a chance. Don't count the Bears out.
Well, you know, a lot of backs, great runners, have not been traditionally great blockers. You are an excellent blocker. Did you decide a long time ago that you were going to block for somebody who's blocking for you, or how did that come about? How did you become such a good blocker?
Well, Johnny, it goes along with the position. You can't be a good running back on one phase of the game and fall down in the other phase. So if you can't do it all over, well, you're not a good running back. So I made up in my mind that if I was going to block just as good as I run.
Okay, Walter, thanks a lot. Best of luck, and you had a fantastic game. You now have 14 100-yard performances in a 3-year career, and you can't do much better than that. Thanks, Walter.
Thank you.
Now let's go back to CBS Control in New York with Brent Musburger and Phyllis and Irv.
Thank you very much. Walter's a nice young man.
Really is. Terrific guy, and he's so humble about all this. He said if you had those guys out there in front of you, you could do it too. I think that's a great attitude.
Welcome to the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. CBS Sports proudly presents the Los Angeles Rams versus the New Orleans Saints. Hi, everybody. I'm Vince Scully, along with Alex Hawkins. Welcome to the great indoors of Louisiana, and welcome to what should be another big act for the Rams, or will it?
Well, the Rams got it all together last Monday night, and they look like the team that everybody thought they were going to be at the start of the season. The Saints at home, though, are extremely tough. They've beaten the Rams here 3 times in Louisiana.
Pat Hayden, of course, has been the golden boy for the Rams. Among other things, he had a rather imaginative evening calling against Minnesota, and it certainly paid off.
Well, they threw 2 touchdown passes, ran one himself, and like you say, they've been getting field goals in those situations. They finally got together and put in touchdowns last week.
And the old story is in sports, never mind yesterday, what have you done for me lately? And the Saints are coming off an explosive day, but a losing one against the Cardinals, the biggest day in Bobby Scott's life.
Passed for over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he can lead this team. Archie Manning got hurt in the Ram game, will not be playing in today's game.
Here's the Ram offensive line: Franson, Mack, Saul, Hara, and Williams. The fellas who figure to handle the ball: Harold Jackson, along with Billy Waddy, and the tight end, Terry Nelson. In the backfield, Pat Hayden and his running backs, Lawrence McCutcheon and John Capoletti. 2nd and 6 from the 11-yard line. Waddy is left and Jackson is right. McCutcheon trying to follow Capoletti's block, and Fetishfield not only knocked him down, got the ball.
That's what you get when you come to New Orleans, buddy. You hear the fans respond. Take a look at it from the end zone here, and let's see where the ball comes loose. Fetishfield having an outstanding year, that middle linebacker position. Puts a good hit there. You see the ball come loose. I believe that's Chuck Crispy on it then, number 44.
Well, Rick Zarro will come in now and ask to kick a field goal. He is 2 for 4 this year. He is 2 for 2, however, inside the 29-yard line. His longest was 29. Tom Blanchard, the holder. They spot the ball on the 13, so it's a 23-yard field goal attempt. It's up. It's good, and the New Orleans Saints go marching through with the 3 points on the scoreboard. 12 minutes and 53 seconds left to go in the first quarter. So the Saints capitalizing on the McCutcheon fumble, and they're on the boards 3-0. And boy, a fired up crowd here in the Superdome in New Orleans, trying to exhort the Saints, who are 1-5. Rick Zarro, who kicked one a few moments ago, is going to try another one. They will spot it on the 40, so he's going to attempt a real bomb. 50-yard field goal attempt by Rick Zarro. Not enough. Not enough at all. So the Saints gambling that somehow Zarro had the strength to get it that far, but he missed by a good 8 yards. So he did not miss earlier, however. He had a 23-yard field goal, and with 9 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the first quarter. The New Orleans Saints, 3, and the Los Angeles Rams, nada, senor. 3rd and 7 from the 18. Waddy in a slot right. Hayden getting protection, chased by Price. In the end zone, touchdown. All alone is Harold Jackson. Tom Myers, all he could do is push him.
All the time in the world by Pat Hayden that time. The Saints have not had a good pass rush all year, only 11 sacks. Look at it right here. A week and a half to throw. There you see Alec Price with what little rush there is there. You can't let guys like Harold Jackson and Billy Waddy wait around in your secondary like that. Throwing on the run to his left as he did the other night in the Monday night game with some degree of accuracy, Harold Jackson.
So the Rams go 67 yards in 12 plays, capping it on that pass play from Hayden to Harold Jackson. Raphael Septien, who had been cut by New Orleans, has kicked 15 straight. Point after. Raphael. El Hombre, numero uno, has gotten it through, and the Rams have taken a lead. 3 minutes and 28 seconds left to go in the first quarter. The Rams 7, the New Orleans Saints 3.
He's a rookie, free agent from Penn State.
So 2nd and goal, the ball inside the Ram 1-yard line. The Rams are leading 7-3. Muncie and Galbraith. Back of Bobby Scott. Galbraith! Touchdown! Tony Galbraith, who among other things plays the bass fiddle, and he sure hit a sweet note that time.
Plays the bass fiddle?
Yeah.
Let's watch him go over the top here. He was the number 2 draft choice for the Saints last year. Tommy Prodro said together he and Muncie are the 2 best backs in football as a tandem.
So the Saints have taken a lead for the second time, 9-7. Rick Zarro out of a hole by Tom Blanchard. Zarro is 15 out of 16. Left-footed soccer kicker. It is good. The New Orleans Saints are marching down South Rampart Street. The Saints on a field goal and a touchdown by Tony Galbraith, leading the Rams 10-7. Big Cullen Bryant comes in now on a 3rd and 9, so it is Bryant and Phillips. Tyler goes out. Harold Jackson and Billy Waddy split on the 13-yard line of New Orleans. And has sacked him. Chuck Fisk grabs him on the 20-yard line. Oh, what a play.
Well, that was quick. Chuck Fisk.
Safety blitz got him. Watch it.
He was never a football player at Penn State. He was a basketball player, and he was quick there. Neither one of the backs could pick him up like a bullet.
So the blitz really pays off. Raphael Septien is now asked to kick a field goal to get the Rams tied. The Saints are leading 10-7. Septien is 6 for 7 in field goal attempts. They will spot the ball on the 26-yard line, so it's a 36-yard field goal attempt.
His longest has been 33 yards.
Nolan Cromwell puts it down, and the kick is good. And so the Rams have tied it up thanks to the field goal from Raphael Septien. 5:49 to go in the second quarter. We got a dandy. The Rams 10, the Saints 10. So the 3rd and 11 went down the drain, and we'll see Tom Blanchard. It's the first time we have seen a punt by New Orleans. Last year, Tom Blanchard punted 101 times.
Wear out your knee doing that. Wear out your knee. You know, he almost retired, and it might have been for that reason. He was playing more than the offense or the defense.
He had to be
101 punts.
Woo! This year, he's had 6 inside the 20-yard line. And, of course, that really bears a strong part of a kicker's story. Billy Waddy and Cullen Bryant are deep. It is Waddy on the 12-yard line. Oh, New Orleans recovers. recovered by Pat Hughes. Oh, doctor. Gracious me. Waddy, so explosive. He will bring you to the edge of your seat. Look at the speed right here. Let's see how loosely he is carrying it. The other night he was. And you see an arm come in there and shake it loose. Clarence Chapman was the first man to cause him to fumble, and then Craig Cassidy, Hopalong's boy. There's an exhausted Pat Hughes who came over to New Orleans from the New York Giants in a deal. He was the Giants' most valuable player in '74.
Do we have a flag on that one? There's some kind of conversation going on out there. Let's see.
Emmanuel Sanders very much in the discussion. He is the only New Orleans player down there.
As another free agent, Emmanuel Sanders was let go by the Dolphins earlier, and Shula called him and said he could play, but he just can't play for the Dolphins. He can play somewhere in football. He's been their most consistent and most outstanding offensive lineman for the Saints the last 3 or 4 years.
Now Bobby Scott wants to get the lowdown along with Jack Youngblood. Billy Waddy, in returning the punt, hit by Clarence Chapman and Craig Cassidy. And if you're old enough to remember Hopalong Cassidy, who played for Ohio State, that's his son playing here for New Orleans today.
Number 73 offense during the dead ball, first down and 25.
So the so-called dead ball foul.
Joe Campbell, that's who the foul's on. Joe has been in a fight every game. This is the 7th time he's caused some commotion. He's a very aggressive #1 draft choice from Maryland.
He backs up Bob Pollard, and on the special teams, he apparently got in an unnecessary lick and was caught for it. So it is 1st and 25 for New Orleans as they take over on the Ram 25, and that's the second costly Ram fumble and recovery for New Orleans. How costly remains to be seen. First man, Tony Galbraith, has his jersey ripped away as he gets down to the 20, and he's 0 for 2 in jerseys.
You tell me he isn't a player, though. I like him. Every play, brother, whether he's blocking or coming out of the backfield or running with the football, he'll give you a fine effort.
Boy, you talk about a tattered and torn. That thing was just decimated.
It looked like he'd been rode hard and hung up wet.
Wow. Kim Jones will take over for him while Galbraith finds another jersey. He has had 2 stripped off the pads. 2nd down and 20. Remember, the personal foul made it 1st and 25. They picked up 5. The ball on the Ram 20-yard line. Backs are split. Scott's going to pass. Right side to Herman. He beat Pat Thomas and caught it inside the 5-yard line.
He'll take about 3 or 4 steps downfield and just break into the goal post. It's a quick post route. There he is. Wait for the linebacker to clear. If it's on the money, which it is, as you see him hit him right in the numbers, it's hard to defend against. Pat Thomas can hardly be faulted for that.
1st and goal for New Orleans on the Ram 3. Tony Galbraith. They're going to run out of uniform number 34. He's burned up 2, and he's now back in there in a brand new jersey. And the Rams are with their backs against the wall. 2 minutes to go in the 2nd quarter. 1st and goal from the 3. Herman right, Gilliam left. Out of the eye, and there'll be a timeout with the 2-minute warning on the scoreboard. It's been a great first half. A lot to go. The Saints 10 and the Rams 10 with New Orleans driving. A 10-10 tie with 2 minutes left to go in the 2nd quarter. Vin Scully along with Alex Hawkins from the great indoors of Louisiana, the Superdome. 2 very costly Ram fumbles. One by Lawrence McCutcheon led to a New Orleans field goal. Now a 2nd fumble on a punt by Billy Waddy, recovered by New Orleans, and on a great pass to Don Herman. New Orleans in great position to take the lead as they go back into the clubhouse.
Well, so Ben, when you come here to Louisiana to play in the Dome or wherever you're playing down here, you expect the Saints to give you a good ball club. They get 50, 60,000 people, sometimes 70,000. These crazy Cajuns hollering and hooping it up. They respond to them.
They're hooping and hollering now. Chuck Muncie is back in there, going in for Mike Strawn. So you have Muncie and Galbraith, as they call him down here, the Thunder and Lightning backfield. Muncie is the Lightning. Herman goes wide right, and Gilliam left. 3rd down and goal to go from the 3. The backs are split. The Rams will be looking pass. Scott lays it up and overshoots Herman. He and Pat Thomas were squared away down in the far corner.
Herman looked a little bit confused that time as to whether to go straight down the field or break it to the sideline. There was some confusion.
Here comes Tom Blanchard and Rick Zorro, so they're going to go for 3 points. The only surprise, in looking back over New Orleans games, as we mentioned to you, they have thrown 5 touchdown passes to the tight end, but this time they went to the wide receiver, Don Herman, and they couldn't do it. For Rick Zorro, remember, he made a 23-yard field goal, and he missed one from the 50. And look out, it's Blanchard passing in the end zone. Alois Groom. Oh, what a play. Where did that one come from?
I don't know. I never saw Alois Grooms make no catch before.
Would you believe that? A third-year man out of Tennessee Tech, all the time a defensive end, and he's in there on the offense to catch a touchdown.
Last week, the Cardinals won that ball game primarily because of a fake field goal in that game.
Why, Henry Stram,
he learned something. Look at old Henry Strutt. Look at Henry Strutt.
Dave Elmendorf arguing with the officials. The Rams are furious, perhaps over the New Orleans alignment. Elmendorf quite outspoken. Chuck Knox hollering from the sidelines on the far side of the field. But the Rams have been burned on a touchdown pass to Mr. X.
You got it.
And Rick Zorro will try to make it 17-10 New Orleans. Blanchard holds, the kick is good. And so, with 1 minute and 52 seconds left in the first half, and a wild one, New Orleans 17, the Los Angeles Rams 10. The ball is on the New Orleans 9, 2nd and 1. And the Saints are leading the Rams 17-10. Hayden trying to get it even. Jackson is left and Waddy right. Capoletti and McCutcheon are split. Big rush by Bob Pollard. End zone pass caught by Jackson. And touchdown. How in the world?
Now, that's professional. That is
no real estate, and he was able to get down inside the end line.
Pat Hayden doing a little scrambling back there. That dimension that Joe Namath cannot give you. And that's why he's a starting quarterback, and probably the only reason he's a starting quarterback for the Rams. But look at the job Jackson does keeping his feet in bounds. That's incredible.
He just did, and a trio of Saints thinking unsaintly thoughts. So it is 17-16 New Orleans, and Rafael Septien trying to get the Rams even. He'll be kicking out of a hole from Nolan Cromwell. It's good. So the Saints and the Rams are all tangled up with 20 seconds left to go in the first half. 17-17 tie.
Ben, let me get myself out of a trap here. I said the only reason he was starting for the Rams is because he could give you that scrambling and an added dimension. What I'm referring to is I watched Joe Willie throw the ball yesterday in practice, and he could throw it as good as ever. He just doesn't have the mobility in the pocket that Pat Hayden does.
And Hayden needed all the mobility in the world to get away from Bob Pollard on that last play, and somehow got the ball over the heads of 3 New Orleans defenders and got it into the hands of Harold Jackson, his second touchdown reception, and he would have made Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire proud the way he had those little puppies inside the back line.
And what do you think old Herb Cross is going to say about the outcome of this game so far? But his old teammates with the Rams.
That's right, and Brandon Phillips too.
The very fact the dog is man's best friend, that's most disturbing. Gumbo, the mascot.
What were you telling me about, it was last week, the Atlanta Falcon mascot, that beautiful bird on opening day?
Yes, sir. Supposed to fly around the stadium twice and come on back down to his perch. Flew around the stadium twice and flew out. We haven't seen him since.
A small criticism of the ball club, huh? All right, 2nd and 5 from the 21. Strawn trying to get outside Youngblood. And Jim Youngblood hits him and he fumbles. Rams recover inside the 10. They're asking for time with 2 seconds.
Look at there, the quick reaction by Dave Elmendorf.
And Jim Youngblood caused the fumble after Jack Youngblood had just missed getting him. A big break. So the Rams, who had given up 2 costly fumbles that led to 10 points, are now in jeopardy of cashing in a New Orleans fumble. Take a look.
That's what's Mike Strong. Can't get outside. I didn't see where that came loose. Could you see there?
Just as Jim Youngblood hit him and he hit the ground, and Elmendorf, coming up from the rear, just picked up the loose ball and moved it. So Hayden has 1 play, and the Rams will go for the field goal. It'll be Raphael Septien, Cromwell holding. They'll spot the ball on the 17, so he'll try a 27-yard field goal. And the Rams then would go into the dressing room leading by 3. The kick is up, the kick is good, and the Rams get the psychological edge now as time runs out. They can go into the dressing room leading, albeit barely. Thanks to the talented toe of Raphael Septien, who has kicked 2 today, so that gives him 9 out of 13 for the year. The Rams leading on that costly fumble by New Orleans.
Earlier this week, Bob Tucker was signed by the Minnesota Vikings. He left the New York Giants in a huff. Well, he has Minnesota right now ahead of Atlanta. He caught the touchdown pass thrown by Fran Tarkenton. 14-7, the Vikings lead Atlanta. It has been a tough, tough game. Washington, Philadelphia. Joe Theismann, quarterbacking the Redskins today. He has thrown 2 touchdown passes to tight end Gene Fugit, 23-10 in the 3rd quarter. Cincinnati comes in with Kenny Anderson in the 2nd half. They lead Houston and John Hadle right now, 10-3 in the 4th quarter. Cleveland getting even for losing to Kansas City on the last Sunday of last year, 30-0 in the 3rd quarter. The New York Jets and New England. Grogan with a couple of touchdown passes, 1 to their top draft choice. Stanley Morgan of 52 yards. Morgan a burner. He's got 4.4 speed. In the 4th, it's 24-13, the Patriots. San Diego now trailing Miami, 13-7. That game is in the 4th quarter. Clarence Duran intercepted 3 for San Diego in the 1st quarter. And, of course, 16-0 at the half. Chicago leading Green Bay. Detroit and Dallas right now. Cowboys on the move, 3 seconds left in the half, 20-0 in the 2nd quarter. And the game you're watching, Los Angeles leading New Orleans by a score of 20-17. That's at the half. And the NFL today will continue on CBS after these messages from your local station. This has been a big afternoon for the defensive backs. So in honor of that, we turn to Irv Cross to start our highlights.
Okay, in the 4th quarter down in Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons, in a real tough defensive battle, has been indicated lead 14-7 in the 4th quarter. And early in the game, Fran Tarkenton going to the air has a pass picked off by Rollin Lawrence, and he brings the ball up around the 49-yard line, setting up a scoring opportunity for his Falcon teammates. And Scott Hunter takes advantage of it right away, going to the air, hitting Greg McCreary, a tight end who's backing up Jim Mitchell, who's out with an injury today, and he draws first blood for the Falcons. They lead 7-0. Tarkenton comes back, however, in the 2nd quarter with a touchdown pass of his own as he goes to the air to Sammy White, who hauls it in for a 55-yard strike, 7-7 in the 2nd quarter. In the 3rd quarter, the biggest run of the day, Chuck Foreman rambling 51 yards down to the Atlanta 1-yard line, but don't go away, folks. It's not over yet. It takes Minnesota 3 plays, and finally from the 6th, Fran Tarkenton rolls out his brand-new tight end, Bob Tucker, touchdown, and Atlanta leads 14-7 in the 4th quarter.
So Minnesota is ahead right now by those 7 points, Irv. And Fran Tarkenton, you know, has been intercepted 11 times already this season and only 8 all of last year. New quarterback of Washington, Joe Theismann, Philadelphia against the Washington Redskins. Now, when you play the Redskins, they say, get to the outside with some speed. Well, the only trouble here on this play is that the Eagles cough it up, and Joe Theismann has got a chance to show George Allen and the Redskin brass what he can do, and he did it quickly. Gene Fugit is tied in for 1 touchdown. It became 7-0. Shortly after that, Theismann and the Redskin offense went to work again. And the former Notre Dame star backed out this time and looked for Danny Buggs. Buggs down at the 15-yard line. Theismann's 2nd touchdown pass of the game to Fugit again, and it was 14-0. Eagles didn't quit. They haven't all year under Vermeil. They just haven't got the talent that the top teams have. Here's Betterson, ran it in. But the Redskins are very much in command, and I've just been handed word that Bartkowski now warming up on the sideline for Atlanta. Irv?
Atlanta, of course, Minnesota does lead that game 14-7 in the fourth quarter, but in the game you're watching, the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears, of course, are doing battle as they always do, and the Bears have a halftime lead of 16-0, and Walter Payton is the man, who, of course, who sets the pace. Payton here goes down to the 5-yard line early in the game, setting up a Johnny Musso touchdown run, and Chicago took a 6-0 lead, missed the extra point. Walter Payton once again, this time goes all the way from the 6-yard line, touchdown, and the score right now at halftime, of course, is Chicago 16, Green Bay nothing.
And Irv, in the fourth quarter, New England leading the New York Jets by a score of 24-13. Okay, the reason for that pause is that one of the networks went back to the ballpark. Let's us now resume with some highlights. We have got Detroit against the Dallas Cowboys. Let's take a look at some of this action. Cowboys' only unbeaten team. Herrera kicks a field goal 45 yards, and the Cowboys up by 6. Mark Washington intercepts this pass by Landry, and here comes the return. Irv, these defensive backs are going wild on this Sunday afternoon. Billy Joe Dupree caught this 15-yard touchdown pass from Staubach, and it became 13-0. Detroit made only 2 first downs in the first half. Cowboys get it again on that interception by Hegman. And Scott Laidlaw will be on the other end of the Staubach pass. 23-0. At the half, the Dallas Cowboys, the only unbeaten team in the NFC, rolling right along, Irv.
I tell you, I wish I could give you a highlight, because I'm not quite
Why
sure of
don't
the
you
package.
take that package?
All right, let's go. L.A. and New Orleans right now, of course, during battle down at the Superdome. Let's take it right now. Pat Hayden, starting at quarterback, scrambles around here and picks up Harold Jackson in the end zone, 18 yards, touchdown. Rams lead 7-3. Strawn makes a nice play here for the New Orleans Saints on the key fourth down run, takes the ball down to the L.A. 3-yard line, setting up a scoring opportunity for the Saints. Galbraith does a rest, goes over, and New Orleans led at this point in the game 10-7. For third down and 9 on the New Orleans 14-yard line, you see a blitz here from the strong safety Chuck Christ, which sets up another series of plays. Let's see this Blanchard puts down to Bill Waddy, who fumbles the ball when he's hit here. He's going to be hit by a swarm of New Orleans Saints, and Pat Hughes picks up the ball for the Saints and sets up a field goal opportunity for the Saints. And they take a field goal. Lois Drooms catches the touchdown pass. They take a 17-10 lead. Pat Hayden doesn't give up, however. He comes back to his favorite receiver, Harold Jackson. He makes the catch, 17-17 at that point. And where are we now in that game, Jeff? I'm not sure.
I think they're watching us. I think they're still okay. Bartkowski now is in the game for the Atlanta Falcons. They're trying to come back against Minnesota.
The score here at the Superdome in New Orleans. At halftime, the Los Angeles Rams 20 and the New Orleans Saints 17. A fired-up Saints club taking advantage of 2 costly Ram fumbles, but then in the closing moments of the first half, New Orleans fumbled and the Rams were able to capitalize on a field goal by Rafael Septien to take a 3-point lead into the dressing room. So it's halftime here in a dancing city in the Bayou Country, and for the moment at least, the Rams leading by 3, 20-17. This is Vin Scully along with Alex Hawkins at the Superdome in Los Angeles here against a fired-up New Orleans Saints ball club. Those are the numbers. The big difference, of course, would be yardage in passing and the fact that New Orleans has rushed well against the Rams.
That and the fact that the Rams are not having much success rushing against a team that usually gives up about 200 yards a game. And they've held the Rams, who are number 1 in rushing, to just 44.
There is one story that is not on the board or in the numbers. If you were with us, you saw what, as far as Los Angeles was concerned, was a disputed play. A fake field goal by New Orleans and a pass from Tom Blanchard, the holder, to a boy who normally is a defensive end, Aloysius Grooms. and Grooms was all alone to catch the touchdown. The Rams were furious. What everybody chuckled about here in New Orleans at halftime, when they looked at that play on instant replay, Blanchard, in lining up to be the holder for a field goal, was on the wrong side of the ball because Rick Zorro is a left-footed kicker. There wouldn't have been any way that Zorro could have kicked the field goal out of the hold held by Tom Blanchard, and that has got to tick the Rams off when it looked that obvious that something was up.
Well, I missed that too, Ben, but I don't feel any worse than the Rams do for missing it.
Billy Waddy, boy, he brings that extra dimension to any ball club. The longest pass that he has caught this year is 42 yards, but he's averaging 19 a reception, and he's another fella who's accustomed to company. He has 8 brothers and 5 sisters.
Oh, buddy. Number 2 draft choice for him. I asked Carol Rosenblum's son, Steve, if he was the fastest player in the squad. He said, put the in parentheses. He is the fastest.
We should have known he was going to be something because he broke Cliff Branch's records at Colorado, and you have to be some kind of man to do that.
That's stepping. Yes, sir.
2nd and 10 from the Ram 40. Wendell Tyler fumbled but recovered it. In fact, in all honesty, I think you should call it a juggle instead of a fumble. It never really left him. He had a rep of fumbling at UCLA, but he had a broken wrist when he was a junior, and that's a pretty good reason why you dropped the ball.
That's right. And they put him on a weight program, strengthened his hand, which was about half as strong as it should have been. There you see it coming out. Boy, isn't it funny how the ball will bounce? Sometimes it comes right up to you.
So Wendell able to hold on to the ball. 3rd and 6 from the 44. Jackson is left and Waddy is right. They're coming. They're coming. New Orleans recovers. And it was Chuck Christ along with Alois Grooms who put the heat on, but Christ, who was in on a blitz earlier, and Alois Groom, number 78, who scored a touchdown in the first half, has recovered a fumble in the second half. Is he ever somewhere else?
A most unlikely hero, Ben. But Chuck Christ, that's the 2nd time in this ball game you see him blitzing right there, splitting between the center and the guard. 2nd time it's been successful.
Boy, that Christ, when he comes, it must feel like it's the center turning around and taking a shot at you.
Very reckless. All out. Yes, sir.
So it is 1st and goal from the 2. Childs and Thaxton, the 2 tight ends, and Mouty is on a wing. Muncie and Galbraith. It'll be Muncie, and he's knocked down shy of the goal line. 4 Rams hit him almost simultaneously.
And so predictable. Put Galbraith in there ahead of you. He weighs about, what, 235 pounds? And a guy that weighs about the same running the ball behind you in the short yardage, why not?
Chuck Knox, who in all of his years, like any other NFL coach, has ups and downs. He's trying to find an up here, and the Saints have him down. Although it is 20-17 Rams at least for the moment. 2nd down. About 1.5 yards away from the goal line. Galbraith! Galbraith, touchdown! 32 yards in 8 plays, and a very quiet Ram bench and a noisy Superdome.
Watch Cody Jones. Cody Jones will bury himself. Galbraith will take the opportunity to just go over the top. Short yardage situations, you see it happen a lot.
Galbraith somehow scored that touchdown without losing his jersey.
He'll be back the next possession, though.
Now, we were talking about the fake field goal. Will you see now where Blanchard is, since you have a left-footed kicker? On the touchdown, he was on the other side. The kick is up. The kick is good. And the New Orleans Saints, playing with that down-home music in the Bayou Country, they have 24. And the Los Angeles Rams, ready to butt somebody, they have 20.
Ooh, Dallas is striking hard. Detroit, not a good road team. 30-0.
Well, Dallas playing New York, trying to go undefeated.
They are so powerful, so much depth.
3rd down and a big 7 from the 34. Waddy is right, Jackson is left, and it's Bryant and McCutcheon. And Hayden going deep to Jackson. What a save by Clarence Chapman. He was a guy who qualified, and you can take a look on an NCAA track meet. He ran 60 yards in 6.1, and he needed it there.
He needed every bit of it that time. He was beaten on the play. Just a last great effort there, getting a hand in there. Jackson was behind him. Great play by Clarence Chapman.
And Pat Hayden took a little lick from Pat Hughes, so he'll remember that play. But Clarence Chapman saved it. And now, with the score 24-20 Saints, Raphael Septien is going to try and kick a 52-yard field goal. Well, he's done it in practice. He's done it in college. He's made it from 36. He's made it from 27. This one is out of gas. Real good. So the Rams are denied thanks to that magnificent defensive effort by Clarence Chapman. And the Saints are still holding on to the clarinet, and they're leading 24-20. So McCutcheon is indeed the workhorse for the Rams. The Ram bench, as you mentioned earlier, not appeared worried, as if they can score against New Orleans. Been their own fumbles and a couple of breaks that kept the Saints in the game.
And what a heartbreaker for the Saints if they should go ahead and win the ball game, because they've lost so many games this year that they've been in nearly every game this year.
McCutcheon needs 1 yard to get 100. And he's in there with Wendell Tyler now. And that's Bryant as a wide receiver. And McCutcheon got the yard and got a touchdown with it. 76 yards in 7 plays for the Rams, and they are now leading 26-24.
The mark of a championship team, though, right there. Needing a yard, being able to get it, and the way they handle themselves, like they're not surprised at all that they made it.
So Lawrence McCutcheon, for the 6th time in 10 meetings with New Orleans, goes over the 100-yard mark rushing. He needs 78 yards to get to the 5,000-yard mark in his career. He is the 2nd NFC rusher, averaging 4, and in 24 carries for 100, his average a little better than 4 today. Lawrence McCutcheon. Clutch, they call him, and clutch he is. Now Septien trying to make it 27-24. Whoa, bad pass. A flag on the play. Septien. Ha ha ha. What to do? Throw it up in the air. And it's picked off by Ernie Jackson. And I was thinking of Garo Yefremian when I was watching Septien.
Boy, when something like that happens, they lose their poise altogether.
Flag on the play, remember?
You would think as much time as those kickers have spent by they could handle themselves in situations like that a little more.
It looks like offsides, a preliminary signal. There it is. Offsides against the Rams. So offsides plus a bad snap from center. So the Rams 26 and the Saints 24. We have 12 minutes and 55 seconds left to go in the ballgame. Boy, whatever you do, don't go wandering off. So 4th down, and Rick Zorro, who started the day off with a 23-yard field goal. The line of scrimmage is the 24. They're spotting it on the 32. It's a 42-yard field goal. No good. Uh-oh. So Zorro unable to kick a 42-yard field goal, and the Saints are still trailing by 2. With 8 minutes and 59 seconds left to go in the ballgame. There it is. Well, Rick Zorro was unable to kick a 52-yard field goal. Well, Septien had a 52-yard try. Then Zorro had a 42-yard try. He's also missed from the 50. He made one from the 23. This one will be spotted from the 21. It's a 31-yard field goal attempt. If it's good, the Saints will take the lead. It's up. It is good. Got it.
Hit the crossbar and went between it.
3 minutes and 34 seconds left to go in a shocker in New Orleans.
Look at this as it hits that left bar and bounces on through. Santa Claus has truly doubled back on him.
And of course, you immediately go back to the missed extra point by the Rams, and that thing, like the sword of Damocles, hangs over there. And how about that, Fred?
I liked it. I liked it. But we still got 3.5 minutes, so don't go away.
That's Tom Blanchard, the punter, and the holder. You don't usually put the spotlight on them, but holders are almost as important as the kickers, as well as the snap from center. So the Saints 27, the Rams 26, 3 minutes, 34 seconds to go in the game. Atlanta lost to Minnesota. So this is a big one. 1:28 to go, 1st and 10 from the New Orleans 36. Here's Muncy on the outside to midfield. Bill Simpson is the only man to get him, and he pushed him out of bounds. He got help from Pat Thomas, and he goes down to the Ram 29-yard line. Chuck Muncy.
Well, I don't quite understand Bill Simpson running along beside him for that long without trying to commit and knock him out of bounds or something.
Watch
the blocking
Galbraith.
is there. The blocking is there. Marv Montgomery, Galbraith making the block. But watch Simpson here. Runs along at 10 yards, 15. There's 20 yards, 25 yards before pushing him out of bounds.
That has to be respect about being faked right out of your helmet.
Could very well be.
1st and 10 on the Ram 28-yard line. Herman is right. Childs and Thaxton, 2 tight ends. Muncy following Galbraith. Got across to 25. Bill Simpson had to come up. He needed help, and he got it from Brzezinski, among others.
Galbraith doing a job on Isaiah Robertson. Marv Montgomery's doing a job on Freddie Dryer, and they're moving the football.
Timeout, Los Angeles. 1 minute and 9 seconds left to go. The New Orleans Saints at 27. The Rams 26. They backed the clock up 3 seconds because one official had already called the timeout prior to having it had run down to 5. So here come the Saints leading by a point. 2nd down, 2 yards to go, the ball on the 4, and if Scott just falls down on the ball, the Saints have won it. Boy, what running back, Galbraith and Muncy. And Muncy behind Galbraith is going to go out of bounds with 4 seconds left, and it would appear as if it's awfully close to that needed 1st down. Not that it's that important, right, Hawk?
Those are the small areas, though, that eventually you may lose the game by running out of bounds when all you had to do to win it is to stay in bounds and run the clock out. But the Rams about this time saying, get the fork, I'm done.
4 seconds left, and they would appear to be done. Our thanks to our producer, Bob Stenner, our director, Tony Verna, our statistician, Dr. Bob Woods, as Hank Stram, with 2 of the finest young running backs you will see anywhere by the name of Tony Galbraith and Chuck Muncy, with a backup quarterback named Bobby Scott. They have capitalized on 3 Ram fumbles. A big capitalization was when the Rams missed the point, so they had to settle for 26 instead of 27, and that point is going to kill them here in New Orleans today.
Another thing we might point out, I don't think it'll never come to this, is the fact that the Rams beat the Saints by 7 points in their first game. In case of a tie in that division, and right now, who knows what's going to happen in that division? Them scoring could be a difference somewhere along the season.
The Rams figured to win this one. Atlanta figured to lose, and Atlanta lost. But the Rams are going to lose. 3rd down and a yard to go on the 3. And there's only 4 seconds left. Scott to Muncy, and he fumbles. And the Rams might have recovered, but time, I believe, has run out. It is finally picked up by Thaxton, the tight end, but it had long been whistled dead. According to the clock, it is all over, and it is. The New Orleans Saints have upset the Los Angeles Rams as Hank Stram has won his 2nd game this year, and how sweet this one was. Over 59,023 actually here at the Superdome, seeing New Orleans beat the Rams for the 4th time in 18 meetings, all 4 meetings and all 4 victories taking place here in New Orleans. Today, New Orleans capitalizing on 3 Ram fumbles, got 27 points. The Rams would have had 27, but on that 1 point, a bad pass from center plus an offsides on the play, and the Rams wind up being haunted and eventually lose because of that point. New Orleans 27 and Los Angeles 26. Remember, next Saturday, Championship Saturday, starting at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, the Series Championship of Women's Tennis, followed by our CBS Sports Spectacular, the World Middleweight Boxing Championship battle between Valdez and Briscoe. After that, the Washington, D.C. International, and the 5th round of the World's Strongest Men of the 5 of the decathlon events. That's all coming up Saturday, November the 5th, starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then the CBS Sports Spectacular at 4 p.m. We sure hope you'll join us then. So the Rams have been beaten here in New Orleans. They go home a loser. Atlanta lost to Minnesota. The NFC West is still wide open. This is Vin Scully for Alex Hawkins. Hope you enjoyed the ball game, and the NFL Today is a presentation of CBS Sports. Now, we'll take you to CBS Sports. But before we do, here in New Orleans, as we watch this large crowd enjoying this 1-point victory, the Rams go home, and to finish up their schedule, they will play Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and San Francisco. They have 3 games in a row to get well. The NFL Today is still a presentation of CBS Sports.
Stadium in Irving, Texas. It's the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. Hello, everybody. I'm Lindsey Nelson with Paul Hornung here in Texas. And Paul, the Detroit Lions are 3-3. When they've played well, they've done it lots of the time with two tight ends.
They sure have. They haven't won a game all year long on the road, Lindsey. And really, when they played good offensively, those 2 guys have been in there at the same time. Charlie Sanders and David Hill, both their tight ends. I think you're going to see a lot of that today. They hope to run the football and cut down on the mistakes.
And quarterbacking the Lions, the number 2 ranked passer in the conference.
And he's had a good year, Lindsey. He's been sacked 25 times, and that's a problem with the Detroit Lion offense. They haven't given him actually enough time. He's having a fine year. He's ranked number 2 behind Roger.
The Dallas Cowboys, of course, at times have had an awesome defense, anchored by a couple of pretty good safeties.
Boy, they sure are. You could talk a lot about a lot of guys on defense, but those 2 guys right there, Charlie Waters and Cliff Harris. Cliff Harris leads the league in interceptions with 4 of the NFC, and they really come up and stick you.
And the field general, Roger Staubach.
What are you going to say about him? Staubach, right now, in my mind, is the best quarterback in professional football, period. He's the leader of this club. He holds them together. He knows what he's doing.
Lions and the Cowboys.
Good cut then. He cut back real good to the inside. Pretty good blocking up front. That offensive line for Dallas is really doing the job here in this series. 4 first downs. They've got a 3rd down situation here.
Butch Johnson goes out to a wide right. Dillhouse moves over. Staubach putting it up to Drew Pearson, incomplete.
Oh, he was wide open, too, in the end zone. Roger would love to have that one back.
It'll be 4th down coming up now, and Efren Herrera comes in.
Look at that guy. He's something else. Caught more passes by a wide receiver. Number 1 in the league.
27.
27 passes. Roger would like to have that pass back. He beat the cornerback over there, Barney, I think it was, on a square out.
Herrera now in to attempt the field goal. He's 12 for 18 in that department. PATs, he's 16 for 17. Missed one last week against the Eagles. His first after 82 consecutive points after. Boots this one up. 21-yard field goal. It's good.
Just like an extra point.
21-yarder is good. And so the Dallas Cowboys have taken the ball from the punt, driven steadily downfield, and they're on the scoreboard. Cowboys 3 and the Detroit Lions nothing. 4th down. The ball is spotted at the 28. Waters is in at the 35. It's a 45-yard for Efren Herrera. A 45-yarder is good. So Herrera with his 2nd field goal of the day. That puts the Dallas Cowboys out in front by a score of 6-0. We have 13 minutes, 22 seconds left to play in the first half.
And an extra linebacker in now for Detroit. Arvis comes out. And Laslovic comes in.
Laslovic coming in. Ed O'Neill, the starting middle linebacker these days for the Detroit Lions. Dorsett moved back, evened up with Newhouse. Blitz. Staubach. Touchdown, Dupree. Tight end Billy Joe Dupree for the touchdown.
That's his first touchdown of the year, the big tight end, Lindsey. I said blitz. And when the Dallas offense picked up the blitz beautifully, you got man-to-man in your secondary, and he had all day to throw it, and he found his man wide open. And the Dallas fans are happy.
Now, Efren Herrera to attempt the conversion. Last week, he missed one. It was the first missed after 82 consecutive conversions. Charlie Waters holds for him. Herrera's point is good. And the score is the Dallas Cowboys 13, the Detroit Lions nothing.
Let's take a look at that touchdown play. Now watch the blitz. Here comes the blitz. Beautifully. He picked it up great. I think that was Rafferty. And here goes Dupree in for the touchdown. Unopposed.
A light misting rain is falling here, so there are some who have umbrellas and some who have programs on their heads and otherwise.
And we agree with that, CBS, along with the Cowboys.
First and 10 for the Detroit Lions at their own 30-yard line. Horace King is the setback here, and Joe Reed's the quarterback. Reed back to set it up. Intercepted at the 43-yard line. It is Mike Hegman with the football, and Hegman has an interception. That was really in a crowd.
Boy, I'm telling you, you talk about double coverage. They had him triple covered. Reed threw it right into a crowd. Just a four-man rush here. Watch Harvey Martin get rid of the tackle. Reed gets rid of it on target. But the guy, was he covered or not, Lindsey?
Woo. They're all around.
That's his first interception of the year. But
second down and 12.
It's funny how teams love that home cooking, isn't it? They're great football teams, will win on the road.
Shotgun again. Dorsett is evened up with Staubach. Staubach. Joe Pearson with his version of a statue motionless along the sideline, afraid to move those feet.
I want to tell you, this is a picture catch. And we've got him on the ISO for you. Watch him. Now he's going to clear the back here. It's double coverage. And watch how he just leans. He knows exactly where he is. 25-yard pickup. Absolutely beautiful. Drew Pearson doing what he does best. All pro in every respect.
First down and 10 yards to go, and they have it at the Detroit 19-yard line. We have 1 minute, 8 seconds left to play in the half.
That was Artie, wasn't it?
Really was. Staubach. Laidlaw incomplete. The hit made by Hunter.
And a good hit.
Make it second and 10 at the 19. There are a few Heisman Trophy winners mixing and mingling out there. Roger Staubach won the Heisman, and Dorsett won the Heisman. We got one in the booth, as a matter of fact. Our Mr. Horning won the Heisman. Second down and 10 yards to go.
Who's going to win it this year, Lance?
That's a good question. It could be. My candidate is a lineman. My candidate's Ken McAfee at Notre Dame.
Oh, he's a great one. Dead cinch #1 draft choice.
Only 2 non-backs have ever won it.
And you got Earl Campbell here at Texas. Terry Miller at Oklahoma State.
Staubach dropping back.
Look at
Goes back across, and it's a catch. And Laidlaw has it, and Laidlaw's at the 10. 5. Touchdown. Laidlaw for a touchdown.
They made a good catch. He picked it right off the ground. Roll out right, sleeper left. A little razzle-dazzle, as Dallas can only do it. Here comes Staubach way around to the right side, and Detroit defense forgot all about back against the grain. Here's Laidlaw. Now watch the blocks he picks up. That's Ralph Neely out in front. John Fitzgerald right there, and Laidlaw just bulls his way in the last 3.
Efren Herrera to attempt the conversion with Charlie Waters holding. Herrera boots, and it's good.
And so the Dallas Cowboys have taken a 20-0 lead over the Detroit Lions with 53 seconds remaining to be played in the first half here at Texas Stadium. And if the Cowboys maintain the lead and win the ball game, they'll have the finest start they have ever had since the franchise was formed.
They got their numbers mixed up on that one. Well, either Dallas' defense just been superior today. Depends on the way you look at it. Offense for Detroit has been miserable.
Reed. Fumble the ball. As he went down and rolled away, and Dallas got it.
Randy White caused it, Lindsey, and he got the football back.
First and 10 at the 30-yard line.
Let's watch number 54, Randy White. Now, here he comes on the inside. Reed runs out to the left. There's Randy White. Grabs his right arm. The football goes free, and watch White fight for it. He's got it.
Randy White wearing number 54, a jersey number that's worn by a fellow named Chuck Howley here with the Dallas Cowboys and worn exceptionally well for a number of seasons.
And he'll be inducted into Dallas's Ring of Honor here at halftime. We're going to have a field goal attempt.
So Efren Herrera comes in to attempt the field goal with 5 seconds on the clock on third down. Charlie Waters will hold it to 20, making it a 30-yard attempt for Efren Herrera. He's had 2 already today. The 30-yarder is up, and now he has 3. So the Dallas Cowboys are leading by a score of 23-0, and we have 3 seconds remaining to be played. 23-0, and 3 seconds remaining to be played in the first half.
Oh, those couple of turnovers, Lance. They put 10 points on the board because of it. 2 interceptions. Fumble recovery by Randy White. This team's too good to make those kind of mistakes against.
As you're aware, these Dallas Cowboys like to wear those white jerseys, and that's why they're wearing them here today, with the Detroit Lions wearing their blues that they normally wear at home on the road here, because Detroit Lions like to wear those blues. There's a little differentiation between the two. Dallas has royal blue, metallic blue, and white. Detroit calls theirs Honolulu blue and silver. Herrera from UCLA will do the kicking off. Rick Kane is center deep to receive it for the Detroit Lions. The last 2 minutes now. The clock doesn't start until the ball is touched by a member of the receiving team in the field of play. It starts now. Picked up at the 15-yard line. Thompson is carrying. Leonard Thompson is stopped at the 30, and time has run out. So the gun goes off, and the Dallas Cowboys go off the field for the halftime intermission, leading the Lions by a score of 23-0. And it's been just sort of that kind of a half. The Detroit Lions are a little bit frustrated, taking their time as they head for their locker room. Dallas Cowboys have already cleared, sprinting to the locker room. Cowboys 23, the Detroit Lions nothing at the end of the first half before a sellout crowd here at Texas Stadium.
Well, Lindsey, not much of a contest. Completely all Dallas. They have just completely manhandled Detroit, both offensively and defensively, controlling the football actually in the first quarter for over 11 minutes. Making the mistakes against this good team, you got to repeat it, then you just cannot. Dallas is just too good. They're young, and they play like they're very, very experienced.
Again, at the end of the half, Dallas 23, Detroit nothing. At halftime, Texas Stadium, it's the Dallas Cowboys 23 and the Detroit Lions nothing. Paul Hornung, Tommy Hudspeth of the Detroit Lions worked all week, of course, with new little wrinkles he hoped would compensate for the fact that the offensive line hasn't been that effective. But if you turn that ball over and don't get it all that much, it doesn't really matter that much.
I'm telling you, they're really in they've got a terrible problem. No question about that, Linz. They've only got 2 first downs, 38 yards in total offense. Of course, Dallas is a lot better football team than Detroit. We can easily see this, but I can't understand, Linz. You know, we saw Detroit play earlier in the season. They were a much better football team, and they have just, it seems as if when they go on the road, they're in trouble.
Well, that's true because of their last 10 times on the road, they've won only 1 ball game. They've lost 6 in a row on the road.
And when you play the Dallas Cowboys, you might look worse than you are, though, because they do so many things so well.
I think you hit the nail on the head. If you start turning the football over and making mistakes against this team, they'll stuff it right down your throat. They've got the killer instinct, and that is very unusual for a great football team, Lindsey. Usually you'll see teams in the National Football League, when they get 3 touchdowns on top, they go into a shell and play very conservative. Not this football team. They'll come right back at you and try to put some more points on the board.
Tony Dorsett, acquired, of course, out of the University of Pittsburgh by the Dallas Cowboys, has added really a new dimension to their attack.
And I would call it excitement. He hasn't really rushed the football that effectively here in the first half. I think he's, well, let's see, only got 3 yards total in six or seven carries. But we saw at the end of the first half what he can do. He can catch a little swing pass, break, make the big play, got out of bounds I thought did a good job getting out of bounds, stopping the clock, and he's going to make the big play for Dallas in the years to come.
So the Dallas Cowboys are leading by a score of 23-0 at the end of the first half here at Texas Stadium. The NFL Today on CBS will return after this word from your local station. They're welcome. They're welcome to do this to us. We're not proud. Thank you.
No, I'll get it, man.
Da-da-da-da-da.
What kind of car is that? Is that an old Buick down there, Lindsey? Is that a Buick or old Buick or
looks like it, doesn't it?
Looks like an old Buick,
Yeah,
or it might be an Oldsmobile.
Looks like a Buick, it really does.
All right, Irv, let's take a look at some highlights now, and you get us started.
Okay, I'll start. It's been a defensive day around the National Football League, and the Atlanta Falcons and Minnesota Vikings late in the fourth quarter in a head-to-head battle where the score is 14-7 Minnesota. But this is early action in the first quarter, and Fran Tarkenton goes to the air, and Ronald Lawrence picks the ball off. We all know, Brent, that defensive backs are the best athletes in the National Football League. He brings the ball back to the 49-yard line, setting up a scoring opportunity for Scott Hunter and his offensive teammates. And Greg McCreary, a backup tight end substituting for Jim Mitchell, takes the pass in, and Atlanta led 7-0. But Fran Tarkenton comes right back with the next offensive series by the Vikings. Hits Sammy White, 55-yard touchdown pass. It's all tied 7-7. In the third quarter, the biggest play of the game, Chuck Foreman going 51 yards all the way down to the Atlanta 1-yard line. But don't go away, folks. It takes the Vikings 3 plays before they can finally get it in. And from the 6-yard line, 3rd and goal, Fran Tarkenton goes to Bob Tucker, just recently acquired from the New York Giants. And he brings it in, and Minnesota takes a 14-7 lead, and it's late in the fourth quarter, and the score still holds that at that point.
And Irv Bartkowski now is in quarterbacking the Atlanta Falcons in that game, trying to pull it out. Philadelphia and Washington. The story there, of course, is the fact that Joe Theismann started at quarterback. And early, the Eagles gave him an opportunity to show what he could do as Smith coughed it up on the end around, and the Redskins jump on it. Watch now, Theismann wants his tight end, Gene Fugit. It's the combination that will burn the Eagles a couple of times. From the left side, he sends him. Simple post pattern, 6 points. A little bit later, Theismann back with his offense. This time, he'll go to an outside man. Danny Buggs. Down at the 15-yard line. And again, it will be Fugit. This time, from the right side, he runs. Same pattern, different side of the field. Eagles come back. Betterson runs it in for the touchdown. But the Redskins are still in command in that football game. Irv?
The Eagles scored again late in that game, Brent. The score is 23-17. Harold Carmichael pulled in a Ron Jaworski touchdown pass. But with Green Bay and Chicago in the third quarter, Chicago has a 16-0 commanding lead, and Walter Payton is a story. When you have the best running back in football, what do? Give him the ball. He takes the ball down to the 5-yard line, setting up a touchdown run by Johnny Musso, and Chicago took a 6-0 lead. Missed the extra point. Walter Payton, number 34, goes in again, this time from the 6, 13-0, and Chicago right now has a 16-0 lead.
All right, Irv, we've got the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. The Cowboys, the only unbeaten team in the NFC, and unless Detroit can get its act together in the second half, they will stay that way halfway through the season. Herrera's field goal from the 45-yard line made it 6-0 in favor of the Cowboys. Young Mark Washington steps in to intercept this pass by Landry, and watch the return they get. They yell fire on that defensive unit. Irv Cross, you defensive backs, you know how to do it. Now Billy Joe Dupree catches the 15-yard touchdown pass from Staubach, gets into the end zone, and it became 13-0. Detroit made only 2 first downs in the first half. And I think that's more a tribute to that Cowboy defensive unit, because Landry can get you some first downs. There's Hagman with an interception. And from there it was Scott Laidlaw as the Cowboys marched it in. And, of course, at the half, they lead 23-0 as they got down to kick still another field goal. Look at the blocking wall that forms there for the Dallas Cowboys. They know how to do it, and they've got great athletes in that franchise. Now the Los Angeles Rams and the New Orleans Saints, and it has been a wild, wild game down in the Superdome. Rams always have trouble down there. Hayden yanks back. He wants Harold Jackson, and watch him as he moves to the left. That agility. After the extra point, it was 7-0. Strawn has replaced Muncie, who is in Stram's doghouse. And on a key 4th down, he got it down to the Ram 3-yard line and gave up his jersey in the process. And Galbraith took it from there, went for the touchdown, and New Orleans led it by 3, 10-7. Now from the right side, watch Chuck Chris come on the blitz. And that causes L.A. to kick a field goal that tied it. Now the Saints punting. And Waddy, who has got blazing speed, unfortunately, is going to cough it up. I say unfortunately for the Rams and their fans. Surrounded, and the Saints have got a chance. They set up a field goal. The big play this year is the fake. Defensive end Grooms goes out. He's an eligible receiver. He lined up as a tight end. 17-10. Rams come back. Was this a touchdown or wasn't it? Hayden for the corner. Jackson tightrope walking. Both feet in bounds. Perfect call. Look at how he came right down for that touchdown. Right now, let's go back to Lindsey Nelson and Paul Hornung. Lindsey?
At halftime here at Texas Stadium, the Dallas Cowboys 23, the Detroit Lions nothing, and now we'll check scores of other games around the National Football League.
It's Minnesota, 2 touchdown passes. Fran Tarkenton over Atlanta, 4th quarter. 14-7 Washington. Philadelphia's coming back. Jaworski a touchdown pass. It's Washington 23, Philadelphia 17, 4th quarter. And we got a defensive battle going on. Cincinnati 10, Houston 3. Oh, what a rout. Cleveland, boy, I tell you. I guess, Lindsey, they're probably the biggest surprise in the NFL. What a tough season they've had as far as opponents are concerned. 30-0 on top of the Chiefs. Complete rout. New England coming back. They trailed early in that ball game, 24-13 over the New York Jets. And Miami in a tight struggle, 4th quarter, 13-7. I think they missed an extra point in there. And Chicago shutting out Green Bay 16-0. Johnny Musso scored once. Walter Payton scored once, and they had a field goal from Bob Thomas. And Los Angeles at halftime has taken a 3-point lead over New Orleans. New Orleans was ahead in that ball game all the way, and the Rams now controlling a 3-point lead.
Those scores of other games around the National Football League, with the Cowboys leading the Lions 23-0 here at Texas Stadium. Cowboys, of course, the only undefeated team in the National Football Conference. And they are, of course, well on their way to the finest start they've ever had. If they win here this afternoon, it'll be the best start the Dallas Cowboys have ever had.
Part of the new winning image for the Detroit Lions is our new stadium, the Silverdome. Hello, I'm Greg Landry, and I'd like to show you where I live and work. Detroit is known as the Motor City, and of course, we're proud of the many automobiles we make here. But here are some other cars we're proud of. Old trolley cars that have been restored back to public service. They're a part of Detroit's rebuilding. We're also proud of Renaissance Center, which is almost a brand new city within a city. We've still got a lot of work to do, but these people will help. They're neighbors and fans who work for our United Way. For family counseling and mental health services, for the medical center and many other agencies funded by United Way. They take pride in the Lions, our town, and our United Way. For all these volunteers, we'd like to say thanks to you. It works for all of us, the United Way.
And it is a pleasure. Bob Lilly is on the field now for the induction ceremony of former linebacker Chuck Howley into the Dallas Ring of Honor. Don Meredith, Bob Lilly, Don Perkins are the only other members. They are all here. Here's Lilly.
He was an All-Pro, for 6 years during his 13-year career. He was a Pro Bowler 6 years. He went to college in West Virginia. He was a 5-sport letterman 4 years in a row. He was drafted by the Chicago Bears, #1 in 1958. He was my original teammate back in 1961. And as I said, he was here 13 years. He is a great friend of mine. He's a friend of the Cowboys. And I know he appreciates all the fans and all the people who chose him. Without further ado, Chuck Howley.
Boy, listen, what a great linebacker he was. Quick, smart.
The entire Cowboy team is gathered there in 2 lines at midfield to witness this induction ceremony of former linebacker Chuck Howley into the Ring of Honor.
Glad to start the ring. I only know of one way to show my appreciation, and it's rather simple. I thank the Cowboy organization for inducting me into the Ring of Honor. I thank very deeply the coaches that put up with me for 13 years and made me the professional that I was. I thank my fellow players that are sitting in the stands today and the ones that are still out here playing today. And the fans that gave me the encouragement and the urge to make the big plays, because I got this from you people too. Lastly, I got to show a great deal of admiration to my wife Nancy, my son Scott, and my daughter Robin, because it's pretty tough to put up with a professional athlete for 13 years getting ready for each game. Thank you, one and all.
Chuck Howley. Tex Schramm moving up there to shake his hand. And you can see the name Chuck Howley on the blue ring, which separates the upper and lower levels on the press box side. And there is the blue jacket, Bob Lilly fitting it on him, and Tex Schramm there.
Chuck, I want to present you with this specially designed replica of the Ring of Honor, which has now your name, along with Bob's, Don's. Hope you keep it for the rest of your life.
Thank you very much, Tex. And again, my sincere appreciation for the fine organization the Cowboys has brought forth since 1960.
Frank Gleber is emceeing this ceremony.
Next, the only head coach that Chuck Howley ever had, from 1961 to 1973 with the Dallas Cowboys, Tom Landry.
Standing ovation for Tom Landry.
It's a real privilege for me to have the opportunity to speak for the coaches and the present team, and also congratulating Chuck Howley for this honor. I don't know of anyone that's more deserving than Chuck Howley. Not only was he a great pro, he's a great team man, but more important than that, he was a great person. And he did probably as much as anybody in helping Dallas build a franchise. So my congratulations to Chuck and his family today. Thank you.
Tom Landry, the head coach. Chuck Howley getting congratulations all around as he becomes the 4th man to be inducted into the Ring of Honor. The others are right there. Don Meredith, Don Perkins, Bob Lilly, and Chuck Howley.
4 pretty good athletes right there, I'll tell you. Chuck Howley, Linz, I think, was the only guy in the history of the Super Bowl to win the most valuable player on the losing cause. That was in Super Bowl 5.
So there are the Dallas Cowboy Immortals who have been inducted so far into the Ring of Honor. Here at Texas Stadium, the home of the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboy halftime entertainment is produced and directed by...
And now he will be taken around the track in the automobile so that the fans can be a little closer to their hero, Chuck Howley. This is a part of the induction ceremony. He played his college football at the University of West Virginia.
Beautiful antique car.
Looks like one of the several cars Paul Hornung had at Notre Dame.
Several. The only car I had was my thumb. Oh, Chuck Halley. I had to block him a lot, Lindsay, and he was difficult. 13 years, sterling performance. Oh, this happy day for him. It's a very nice gesture. The Detroit Lions shaking hands with him on the sidelines, too. West Virginia. All right.
A contingent of the Detroit Lions had come back onto the field just in time to run into the middle of this ceremony. I don't think they planned it that way.
I tell you, I think this is a great tradition that the Dallas Cowboy organization has started. As you can see, the fan interest and the reception has just been great. It goes a long way in public relations. Just another example, Linz, I guess, of the great organization of the Cowboys. This tradition will go on for years and years. They're to be congratulated for it.
Chuck Howley, number 54. Number that Randy White wears just now. There was a newspaper cartoon in Dallas this morning showing Tom Landry being approached by a fellow who wanted to take the jersey of Chuck Howley. Landry said to him, "You take it," indicating it's worn by Randy White, who is 6'4", 245 pounds, and taking it wouldn't be all that easy.
I'll tell you one thing, Randy White's doing the jersey justice, too.
Chuck Howley now leaves the field from the tunnel, and these induction ceremonies have been completed. Two teams are coming back onto the field for the resumption of play here at Texas Stadium, with the Dallas Cowboys leading the Detroit Lions by a score of 23-0. Detroit Lions will kick off. There's some stats, halftime stats.
I think it tells the whole story. First downs, Detroit 2, Dallas 11. Yards rushing, Detroit only 25 yards. Yards passing, only 13 yards passing for Detroit. Dallas over 200 yards in offense.
It'll be third down and goal to go just outside the 1-yard line now. Dallas Cowboys are leading 23-0. We have 5 minutes, 15 seconds left to play in the third quarter, and the Cowboys are driving.
It's getting to be a habit today.
Dorsett and Newhouse. Staubach rolls and puts it up. Saldi has it for the touchdown. Jay Saldi took it for the touchdown, and he spikes it.
All right, his first touchdown. Jay Saldi, wide open. Oh, it's Staubach. As I said, he'll pick you apart.
Detroit was offsides on the play. It has, of course, been declined in the touchdown stats.
Oh, offensively and defensively. No mistakes today. A little fake to Newhouse over the middle. Staubach just lobs a little basketball pass. Touchdown.
Conversion attempt coming now, and Charlie Waters is in the hole for Efren Herrera. Waters puts it down, Herrera boots it up, and it's good. So the Dallas Cowboys have taken a 30-0 lead over the Detroit Lions. 4 minutes, 54 seconds remaining to be played in the third quarter.
The guy sitting next to me is probably one of the greatest defensive tackles ever to play the game. Honored here again this afternoon, Bob Lilly. Bob, it looks as if the Dallas Cowboys are, well, the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, they sure are. They're a year ahead of last year, of course, with their
experience, and of course the talent I think is beginning to show itself. They're really probably, in my opinion, the class of the NFC, and you know, I think they lack a little bit of adhesion, or cohesion, I should say. They're good individually, but not a real good team yet. But their talent is so thick, and they've got so much depth that it's pretty hard to beat them.
You're trying to tell me they're all right. They're going to make it, aren't they?
I think they're going to make it all right.
You look pretty good. It looks like you ever have any twinges about being back down there?
No, I was just glad I didn't have to hit the ground.
Maybe you had a Black & Decker, you could go down there and play with the boys.
Well, thank you, Bill.
Let's take a look here. We've got an injury on the field. Who is that, Lance?
That's Jay Salty, who made the tackle on the last play. Just stunned a little. He's apparently all right. Jay Salty made the tackle of Rick Kane, who stumbled up to the 29-yard line. So they'll start at 1st and 10 at the 29.
You know, Bob, there's always a worry, and of course, when you win them all, there's no question about you're playing great football, but a lot of people say maybe a team reaches its peak a little bit too early. Now, they've said that about Dallas. They got off, they won 9 out of their first 10 last year, and then we're a little bit flat in the playoffs. You think this could happen here?
Well, I don't think so, Paul, because they're so talented individually, and they're now moving the players into the positions that they didn't do last year, and I think that they're going to just become better this year.
Dallas Cowboys have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 37-yard line. Danny White is in there at quarterback now. Roger Staubach's being given a rest, and White is in at quarterback. White with a handoff to Laidlaw, and Scott Laidlaw moves it to the 38-yard line.
Well, Dallas going to some of their backup men now. Of course, 30-0 lead. They want to give everybody a little playing time. Doug Dennison also in there at one running back.
Danny White, of course, played his college football at Arizona State, is the regular punter for the Dallas Cowboys, and the backup to Roger Staubach. Misting rain falling here at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, with the Cowboys out front over the Lions by a score of 30-0. We have 9 minutes, 15 seconds left to play in this game. Tony Hill is in a wide receiver right. Brinson and Doug Dennison are the setbacks. That's Brinson. Brinson to the 15, Brinson to the 10, to the 5, and he is in there for a touchdown. Brinson in at the flag, a 20-yard run for a touchdown.
The rookie out of Florida, 6 foot, 214 pounds. And the depth. Watch the blocking on the left side. Tackle blocks down, and a good block by the back. I think it was Doug Dennison. And then Larry Brinson does the rest. He gets close to the end zone. He straight arms Dick Geron, and he got inside for the score. Complete wipeout by the Cowboys today over the Lions.
It's a happy young lady, one of the Cowboy cheerleaders. Charlie Waters is in the hole for Efren Herrera. Waters puts it down, Herrera boots it up, and it's good. It is now the Dallas Cowboys 37, the Detroit Lions nothing. We have 8 minutes, 59 seconds left to play in this game before a sellout crowd at Texas Stadium.
You know, the defense is playing, and their thought right now, Lindsey, even though the game's completely out of control, 37-0, that defense out there you're looking at is thinking shutout. They'd love to have a shutout.
We have 6.5 minutes left to play in the game. Cowboys 37 and the Lions nothing. 1st and 10 Lions at the Cowboy 34. Hubbard and Kane are the setbacks for Reed. Reed. White. It is Randy White. At the 36 for a loss of 2, 2nd and 12.
Cat-like quickness of Randy White. There he is. He comes inside of the block. Now he goes down, and watch him right back up on his feet. And Reed's in trouble.
The Dallas defense, you saw Barnes walking right into the camera. Vinnie Barnes, 6-year veteran from Stanford. 2nd down and 12 yards to go. Joe Reed. Blitz. Larry Cole, number 63, had him in his grasp, and Gregory was there in a hurry. 77.
Larry Cole. Now watch the blitz on the inside. There's your tackle going back, trying to block on Larry Cole. He gets him to the outside. That's Yarbrough, but he stops, comes back to the inside for the sack.
Detroit's going for it, 4th and 10 at the 35 with 5 minutes left to play. Cowboys leading 37-0. Kane and Hubbard the setbacks for Reed. Reed rolls and Martin's got it. Harvey Martin from the blind side. Harvey Martin.
Here comes Harvey, I'll tell you. He got Martinized, didn't he, Lindsay? Got pressed right to the ground.
Did all of that. The ball goes over on downs at the 42.
Well, you try to run away from Harvey Martin. Look, nobody's even touches him on the left side. And poor Reed, he didn't even see him. Harvey Martin, 11th sack of the season.
Tom Landry, the only head coach that these Dallas Cowboys have ever had. One of the legendary figures in the game of football. He's smiling.
And they'll get a shutout.
Dallas Cowboys will get a shutout here this afternoon. Their last shutout in a regular season game was 10-0 over Houston, the 11th game of the 1974 season. Danny White brings them slowly up. The clock doesn't start until the ball is snapped. Brenson and Dennison are the setbacks. Danny White retreats and hits the deck. Now they can't stop that clock. Detroit Lions can't, and it's running. So I should imagine they'll just let it run. They've got time on their hands. 18 seconds.
Time on my hands.
Never knew you could sing after all these years. 11 seconds, 10 seconds. They'll let the clock run out. Because the Lions have used all their times out. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Game is over as Tom Landry looks out onto the field.
The best start in Dallas history. 7-0 at the halfway point.
Well, Paul Hornung for the Dallas Cowboys. It was a day in which they achieved a shutout, and they are now off to the finest start they have ever had in any season since they were formed. For the Detroit Lions, a day of considerable frustration.
It sure was. Detroit did not do anything right. They kept their road mark intact for the year, 0-4 on the road. And for Dallas, they just did everything right. They moved the ball offensively. They were vicious on defense. And now the only thing they've got to worry about, they've got a 3-game lead in their division. They cannot get complacent. They got to go up to New York tomorrow and come out and just do their thing. That's all.
And we've been watching other games around the conference, of course. And whatever happened down there in New Orleans?
Would you believe the New Orleans Saints, a 1-point victory, 27. Los Angeles Rams, 26.
Is that final?
That's a final.
Well, here the final score, of course, was 37-0. The Dallas Cowboys are 7-0. This is Lindsey Nelson with Paul Hornung at Texas Stadium. The NFL Today is a presentation of CBS Sports.
Raiders played like they're supposed to for the first time in 3 weeks this afternoon in Denver. Oakland jumped out to a 7-0 lead with 5 minutes left in the first quarter on that 21-yard touchdown pass from Ken Stabler to Cliff Branch. Errol Mann increased the lead to 10-0 in the second quarter with this 42-yard field goal. Denver turned the ball over 3 times this afternoon, and this fumble by Jim Jensen was costly because it led to the next Oakland score. Clarence Davis, who gained 101 yards on the day, took it over from the 8 for a 17-0 lead. That lead held up as Oakland won at 24-14 and moved into a tie with the Broncos for first place in the AFC West. In New Orleans, the Saints rallied for a 27-26 win over the Los Angeles Rams. Quarterback Pat Hayden connected twice with Harold Jackson for touchdowns, this one for 18 yards in the first quarter, and this one in the closing minutes of the half for 9 yards and a 20-17 lead. But Tony Galbraith made it 24-20 in the third on a 1-yard run. Larry McCutcheon came back, gave the lead back to the Rams in the fourth, but the Rams missed the extra point on that play, and with just over 3 minutes left, Rich Zarro booted the game winner.
There's a bust of John McKay in the lobby of the USC football office. He was everything to Trojan football. McKay coached for 16 years. He led his teams to 4 national championships, 8 Rose Bowls in an 11-year stretch. But it was John McKay's biting wit that people said made him what he was. Keep your sense of humor, John, friends said when he left the school 2 years ago. You'll need it to maintain your sanity. A sense of humor is one thing, but McKay never thought he'd be a coach of the pro football joke. Losing can turn laughter into sorrow, but McKay's still glad he made the move.
I made a move for certain reasons. I have never changed my thought on that. I have answered that 10,000 times. No one has ever believed me. I like to take one of those tests you take, you know, that says whether you're telling the truth or not. I am really happy in my move. I'm really happy to be with the Buccaneers. I think Southern California is the greatest university in the world. I think they've got a great coaching staff. And I wish them well, but what I'm doing is what I want to do at this point in my career. My life has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed coaching football. I enjoyed playing the game itself. I enjoyed my friends, and I said if I was sad all the time, I would just soon be dead. If we are defeated, and we will get defeated at other times, the sun's going to come up in the morning. If the sun doesn't come up, then we really have a problem. Any time that they feel that they can get a better coach, who could do a better job, with the situation that's faced us, they are more than free to do so. My dad told me a long time ago that you might as well die when you can't laugh at yourself, and well, I can't say the word. I'm in hysterics.